Chapter 3821, Keeping them is useful to you. The world will of the four-armed clan sensed Lin Moyu and rapidly manifested as a six-armed giant. Its overwhelming pressure surged through the void, and the aura surpassing a Tao Lord swept away the surrounding chaotic mist like a great wind. Lin Moyu waved his hand, blocking most of the pressure. But even the small amount that leaked through nearly extinguished human sovereign's consciousness. For the first time, human sovereign truly felt how powerful a world will could be, and he couldn't help but hesitate, could he really do this? Lin Moyu said, "Don't be intimidated. He's only a bit stronger than an ordinary Tao Lord. In the World Tree Great Spirit domain, there are plenty stronger than him." Now, human sovereign had a direct sense of the strength of a world will. Then how strong is that human sovereign in the World Tree Great Spirit domain? Lin Moyu replied, he could crush this one with a single finger. Although human sovereign had expected this, he still found it hard to believe. This world seemed almost unreal to him. He said, "Compared to him, I'm not much of a human sovereign at all." Lin Moyu said, "That's only for now. If you step into eternity in the future, you won't be any weaker than him." Human sovereign grunted in agreement. "But whether I can successfully take this world or not, I shouldn't be called human sovereign anymore." Lin Moyu smiled, "Then what do you want to be called?" Human sovereign thought for a moment. "Xiaozontian, that name hasn't been used in a long time, but it is my true name." Lin Moyu said, "All right, then from now on, follow your heart and be Xiaozontian, the human war god of the great world, Xiaozontian." For someone who gave everything for the great world, dedicating his life without regret, Lin Moyu always held deep respect. With a flick of his finger, a storage divine rune flew out and unfolded in the air. The five elements giant controlled by Little Fierce appeared in the void, and the sword Tao spirit appeared as well, transforming into the Tao sword gripped by the five elements giant. Of the three five elements giant formations Lin Moyu had created, Little Fierce's was the strongest. The five elements giant formation was originally created in the soul void, so all its divine runes were most compatible with the soul void. Although it had been modified for use in the real world, it was still a bit less effective there. By Lin Moyu's estimation, Little Jin's five elements giant had about 80% of Little Fierce's power, still stronger than an average Tao Lord. Big-headed doll, having once been a weapon spirit and now a formation spirit, was a bit weaker than Little Jin. However, as the cloud-piercing sword continued to be nurtured, it could make up some of the difference, but its upper limit was still only about equal to Little Jin, still a ways off from Little Fierce. Factoring in the Tao sword formed by the sword Tao spirit and the prison wild grand formation, Little Fierce's combat power became even greater. Little Fierce, wielding the Tao sword, charged forward, crossing tens of millions of miles of void in a few steps to clash with the world will of the four-armed clan. The Tao sword shone with dazzling sword light, slashing through the void. For a moment, sword light danced and the void trembled. The intense aftermath rippled through the void. The space Tao spirit appeared beside Lin Moyu, slicing the void to create spatial rifts that blocked all the aftershocks. Lin Moyu didn't retreat. He wanted Xiaozontian to witness the battle firsthand, so he'd gain a real understanding of the power of a world will. The four-armed clan's world will, suppressed, launched a frenzied counterattack. Great Taos appeared one after another, transforming into countless weapons that slashed toward the five elements giant. Little Fierce controlled the five elements giant, swinging the Tao sword and sending all the Tao-forged weapons flying back. Faced with the Tao sword, which was the true body of the sword Great Tao, these projected Taos were powerless no matter how they changed. Lin Moyu was used to such scenes, but for Xiaozontian, it was his first time witnessing it. Even if he showed little emotion, his body trembled instinctively, showing how deeply moved he was. To wield the Great Tao as a weapon, how brutal. The gap between a Tao Lord and this is truly vast. Lin Moyu said, "This is only a world will that's just entered the formative stage. A fully formed world will is even stronger. The world will of the origin continent is at the peak of the formative stage." Xiaozontian nodded, "You must be careful." Lin Moyu chuckled, "It's up to us. When it's time to charge, you have to charge." Xiaozontian knew Lin Moyu's character and trusted his judgment, so he said no more. The battle between the five elements giant and the world will lasted a full day, with the five elements giant eventually gaining the upper hand and starting to dominate. The world will went berserk at the end, shaking the entire world. Soul flames bloomed, and several Tao lords emerged to join the fight. Lin Moyu smiled and shook his head. Even the world will is useless. Do they think Tao lords will help? The four-armed clan was already at the end of its rope, it wouldn't be long before it was defeated. The world would be shattered, returning to the spirit birth stage. As for those Tao lords, Little Fierce opened his left hand, activating the prison wild grand formation. Dozens of virtual treasures shot out countless threads, weaving a giant net that enveloped the world. The Tao lords' faces changed drastically as they quickly retreated and scattered. Their reactions were fast, but they still couldn't escape death. The Space Tao spirit closed its small hand, freezing space. The Tao lords were immobilized in the void, quickly bound by the prison wild grand formation. The Tao sword slashed through them, gravely wounding each Tao lord. Lin Moyu released the world-burning fire to begin refining them. With Lin Moyu's cultivation increasing, the world-burning fire had grown stronger, though not by much. To truly strengthen the world-burning fire, he would have to refine an entire world. As he refined the heavily wounded, powerless Tao lords, the five elements giant completely crushed the world will. The outcome of the battle was decided. Human Sovereign asked, "How will you handle the living beings in this world?" Lin Moyu replied, "Except for those who come seeking death, I won't kill them. Keeping these beings will be useful to you." Once Human Sovereign successfully seized the world, he would enter the spirit birth stage. The more and stronger the living beings in the world, the faster he'd pass through the spirit birth stage. With the help of Great Tao Beast Essence, the time needed could be greatly reduced. Otherwise, like the Soul Heart King, who chose a world with no living beings while safe, there's no telling how long the spirit birth stage would last. Lin Moyu hadn't understood this before, but now he realized that Soul Heart King's choice wasn't quite right. The four-armed clan's world will was finally shattered, disappearing into the soul void with a cry of unwillingness. With its death, the four-armed clan's world suffered heavy damage, with many of its Taos broken. It would take an unknown amount of time to birth a new spirit. At the same time, with the Taos damaged, the already wounded Tao lords grew even weaker and were all refined into soul crystals. Lin Moyu waved his hand. "Let's go." Little Python, following Lin Moyu's instructions, charged into the world, and a vast army of skeleton generals spread out, heading for the world's origin core. Now, the skeleton generals possessed the combat power of first-level innate soul Great Tao cultivators, and even among first-level innate souls, they were mid-tier. When gathered in numbers, their power was terrifying. If anyone in the world tried to resist, they would only be seeking death. 3822, 3822. Chapter 3822, Tianyu Great Spirit Domain. Lin Moyu left enough of a path for survival for the living beings of this world. As long as they didn't seek death themselves, he would not actively kill them. The army of skeleton generals swept away the chaotic mist, revealing one soul world after another, strong or weak, in Lin Moyu's sight. Each soul world represented a cultivator, some had already reached the Great Tao realm. These four-armed clan experts sensed something and emerged from their soul worlds, looking at the passing army in terror, not knowing what was happening. Most had some sense and didn't dare make a move, or even a sound. A few brainless ones tried to stop the army and were immediately met with merciless sword light. Xiao Zontian, formerly Human Sovereign, hadn't seen Lin Moyu's undead army in a long time. Ever since the Great World War ended, he hadn't really witnessed Lin Moyu's subsequent rise. Unknowingly, Lin Moyu had become this powerful. But this was a good thing. The stronger Lin Moyu was, the better for him and for all the living beings of the Great World. Xiao Zontian suddenly recalled old times. Did those heavenly venerates who abandoned the Great World ever get found? Lin Moyu shook his head. No. Maybe they're already dead. He had searched, especially after taking on destiny. He felt a certain indifference toward those heavenly venerates. At the time, he'd wanted to find Soul Heavenly Venerate to revive Lillian, since Soul Heavenly Venerate was the creator of Lillian's race, but he never found him. In Lin Moyu's view, it was more likely they were dead. The origin continent was not an easy place. Those heavenly venerates might not even have made it out of the Boundary Sea, let alone set foot on the continent. He'd searched several times, and after confirming there was no trace, he considered them dead. He glanced at Xiao Zontian. Why did you suddenly think of them? Xiao Zontian sighed. Even though they abandoned us, they left a lot of inheritances behind. Sometimes I think of them. Maybe it's just because I'm old. Lin Moyu said, there's no need to dwell on it. If they're dead, thinking about it is useless. If they're alive, fate didn't bring us together. They're not important anymore. Xiao Zontian nodded slightly. Just a passing thought. It really isn't important. Perhaps about to become the master of a world and achieve a new life, Xiaozontian felt more sentimental, as if he was about to reincarnate. Who says technological treasures have no emotions? They have joy, anger, sorrow, and happiness too, it's just not obvious. Lin Moyu and Xiaozontian chatted as they strolled through the four-armed clan's world, as if wandering in their own backyard. They quickly explored the world's situation. In just a few days, a particularly unusual chaotic mist appeared before them. Because his realm wasn't high enough, Xiaozontian couldn't tell this mist from any other. Lin Moyu said, "This chaotic mist is formed from great Tao power. It looks similar, but it's very different inside. The world's origin core is hidden within. There are many ways to disperse it." Lin Moyu summoned Little Fierce, "It's up to you." Understood. Little Fierce responded loudly, activating the prison wild grand formation. Virtual treasures shot out countless fine threads, weaving into a giant net that swept toward the chaotic mist. Wherever the net passed, the chaotic mist melted away like snow, thinning and then dispersing. Lin Moyu said, "Using innate virtual treasures, you can cut away the great Tao power here." Xiaozontian didn't quite understand, but he'd soon get it. Once he became the world will, he would gain tremendous benefits. Little Fierce quickly thinned the mist. Lin Moyu took out a treasure material, the last piece of innate origin treasure he had, a gift from Redstone Emperor. Lin Moyu couldn't discern its great Tao attribute. On the surface, it was a special red, like blood but not blood, like fire but not fire, almost the same color as Redstone Emperor. He took out the catastrophic scepter and tapped the treasure. With a bang, a crack appeared. He struck again, and the treasure split in two. Xiaozontian asked, puzzled, "What's this for?" Lin Moyu replied, "I need someone's help, and that guy is greedy, this is his payment." Xiaozontian guessed who. "You mean Discernment Beast?" Lin Moyu nodded. Discernment Beast has a secret technique that can greatly increase the success rate of seizing a world. Xiaozontian said, "A being like that surely doesn't want ordinary things." Lin Moyu nodded. "It's not easy to find. This is called innate origin treasure. It contains pure, unmatched great Tao power. As for its exact value, it's hard to say. There's no way to measure it right now." Xiaozontian understood everything has a price, but what can't be measured is the most valuable. He also realized Lin Moyu was paying a great price for him. Lin Moyu saw Xiaozontian's thoughts and smiled. "No need to worry, Senior Xiao. I'm always fair. What you did for the great world, all the humans should remember. This is what you deserve. If you become stronger in the future, maybe you'll lead humanity again." Xiaozontian said no more, feeling Lin Moyu's sincerity. The mist was dispersed, and the world's origin core was revealed. Lin Moyu took out a transparent jade slip, Discernment Beast's token for contact. He activated the jade slip, sending a soul message, "Senior Discernment, I need your help." A few breaths later, Discernment Beast's voice came from the slip, "Wait where you are." The jade slip flew out, stopped in the void, and began to shine. The surrounding space twisted, rippling. After a dozen seconds, a giant turtle appeared in the light, flying out slowly. A terrifying pressure swept the void, but when it touched Lin Moyu and Xiaozontian, it automatically bypassed them. It would take Lin Moyu days to fly here, but Discernment Beast arrived in an instant. The difference in strength was obvious. Discernment Beast glanced around and immediately understood the situation. Its gaze fell on Xiaozontian. "So you're attached to a technological treasure? Take out your true body and let me see." Lin Moyu shook his head. "I can't. The true body can't enter the soul void, I can only keep it in my storage space." Discernment Beast said, "No problem. Now that I'm here, I can take it out." It stomped lightly in the void, and the soul void instantly solidified. A small area in front of Lin Moyu became half real, half illusory. With just a light step, the boundary between reality and illusion was broken. Discernment Beast's ability was truly shocking. Now that the space was half real, half illusory, Xiaozontian's true body could be taken out. Discernment Beast glanced at it and sneered. "Turns out it's something from the Tianyu Great Spirit domain." 3823, 3823. Chapter 3823, Taking Payment, Dispelling Calamity for Others. Tianyu Great Spirit Domain, one of the 9 Great Spirit Domains. Lin Moyu had heard of it, but didn't know its internal details. Now he understood. Each of the 9 Great Spirit Domains has its own characteristics, with significant differences between them. Discernment Beast chuckled. Among the 9 great spirit domains, 2 are especially unique, Tianyu and Tianzhou. In these 2 domains, Tianyu Great Spirit Domain follows a path combining technology and cultivation, while Tianzhou Great Spirit Domain is purely technological. This technological treasure comes from Tianyu Great Spirit Domain, but it's not a high-grade one. Lin Moyu was struck. He'd seen some wondrous sights in the great world before, scenes said to come from another world, where technology and cultivation coexisted. Could those scenes be from one of the great spirit domains? If so, it made sense. In Tianyu Great Spirit Domain, there must be many worlds that ended in destruction. After their destruction, they entered the Origin Ancestral Land, and later, as the Origin Ancestral Land was brought into the Origin Continent, these worlds and their surviving technological treasures or cultivation methods were brought in as well. However, these were a minority and couldn't truly influence the cultivation system of the Origin Continent. Some technological treasures entered the Boundary Sea during the Origin Cataclysm and the sinking of the 5 continents. By chance, Xiao Zontian obtained one and survived within it. Lin Moyu later found an even stronger treasure for him. But there was a problem. Xiao Zontian could only reside within the treasure and couldn't become a true living being, so Lin Moyu's promise remained unfulfilled. Now, he'd found a solution. The world will, though not human, was at least a form of life. Since Xiao Zontian didn't want to possess a human, this was the best option. In the future, he could even evolve a human avatar if he wished. Lin Moyu explained his idea to Discernment Beast. Senior, is my plan feasible? Lin Moyu was over 90% sure it would work, but still wanted a final confirmation from Discernment Beast. Discernment Beast laughed. Don't you already know the answer? Lin Moyu's eyes brightened. So, people in Tianyu Great Spirit Domain have done this too. Discernment Beast replied, of course. The struggle between cultivators and world wills has existed since the dawn of time. In the eyes of cultivators in Tianyu Great Spirit Domain, a world is just a big treasure. They transform worlds into technological treasures, merge with them, and take control. If you ever visit Tianyu Great Spirit Domain, you'll find that every world there is a gigantic war fortress. Lin Moyu nodded slightly. What about Tianzhou Great Spirit Domain? Discernment Beast smiled. Tianzhou Great Spirit Domain is an outlier among all worlds. They don't cultivate themselves. Everything relies on external power. Their technological achievements surpass even those of Tianyu Great Spirit Domain. In fact, their strongest warships can rival Dao Lords. If their world is mobilized, it can fight a realm lord, and their top weapons are no weaker than any top great Dao Lord. Lin Moyu thought of his previous life's world. They don't cultivate themselves. Can technology alone really be that strong? Discernment Beast chuckled. Hard to imagine, right? Some things you just can't picture until you see them. At this point, Xiao Zontian asked, Senior, if people in Tianzhou Great Spirit Domain don't cultivate, what about their lifespan? Discernment Beast looked at him. Good question. Actually, extending lifespan is simple for them. They have a technology called genetics. Through genetic research, they've created all kinds of terrifying weapons and also greatly extended their own lifespans. Of course, this extension isn't infinite, not like the eternal existence of great Dao cultivators, but at least everyone in their world can live 10,000 years. Their genetic research has reached the level of the Dao, and perhaps in another 10 million years, the world will evolve a gene great Dao. At that point, they could achieve immortality through the gene great Dao. Xiao Zontian was stunned. What Discernment Beast described was beyond his imagination. Is that really possible? Lin Moyu knew about genetics, but never imagined it could reach such heights. In his previous life, genetics was just beginning. What Discernment Beast described was beyond even theoretical possibility. Lin Moyu could only sigh. The world is vast, there's nothing it doesn't contain. Discernment Beast said, enough about that. You can experience it yourself in the future. Let's focus on the present. Are you sure you want him to become this world's master? Lin Moyu nodded, yes. Discernment Beast said, his soul was once separated. If he becomes world master, he can use the world's power to repair his soul, but the spirit birth process will take a long time, at least hundreds of thousands of years. Can you wait that long? He understood why Lin Moyu was doing this, hence the question. Lin Moyu shook his head. Senior Xiao has done me a great favor. I want him to become world master out of personal gratitude. And I'm prepared. It won't take that long. As he spoke, Lin Moyu took out 10 orbs of great Dao Beast essence. Discernment Beast's eyes lit up, tongue licking its lips. So many orbs, you must have undercharged last time. Lin Moyu said, with these, the spirit birth should be finished in no time. Discernment Beast replied, of course. Do you know how precious these are? Very well, let's begin. Lin Moyu said, please give it your all, senior. Discernment Beast laughed, take someone's money, dispel their calamity. With that, it howled skyward. In the soul void, multicolored light burst forth, countless colors gathering into a giant sphere of light. Lin Moyu sensed that this light came from both the real and virtual worlds, containing the power of hundreds of great Taos, a true gathering of Tao power. Discernment Beast vanished, and a colossal Discernment Beast appeared in the void. It breathed onto the light sphere, which shot out a beam of light straight to the four-armed clan's world origin core. The beam's interior became hollow, forming a passage. Go in, Discernment Beast's voice rang out. Without hesitation, Xiao Zontian flew into the light beam, not just his consciousness, but his entire body. His body disintegrated within the beam, while his soul grew more solid. Countless rays of light enveloped him, transforming Xiao Zontian into a giant of light. With Discernment Beast's help, he charged into the world origin core, which began to rumble and shake. Even the void trembled. Discernment Beast snorted, quiet. It stomped its foot, and the whole world fell silent, with no further disturbance. Only the world origin core continued to shine. The battle for World Master had begun. 3824, 3824. Chapter 3824, Why Bother Learning? To become the master of a world, to seize and replace its will, one must inevitably undergo a great battle. Normally, this battle can only be fought by oneself. Outsiders cannot help. That was the case when Soul Heart King became a world master. Lin Moyu could only watch from the sidelines. But there are no absolutes. In reality, it isn't that intervention is impossible, just that Lin Moyu himself can't do it. Discernment Beast can. Its secret technique, with dazzling radiance, crashed into the world's origin core together with Xiao Zontian. Lin Moyu could clearly sense the powerful world will being effortlessly suppressed, unable to even exert 1% of its power. Even the entire world was suppressed, barely able to move. With Discernment Beast's help, Xiao Zontian was able to overpower the world will. Lin Moyu was a bit envious of this secret technique. If only he could master it. After casting the secret technique, Discernment Beast returned to Lin Moyu's side. Its aura was a bit weak, as if the secret technique had greatly drained it, though whether that was real or just an act was hard to say. After all, when it performed the secret technique, it seemed far too relaxed, showing no sign of effort. Discernment Beast said, from here on, it's up to him. But judging by the situation, there shouldn't be any problem. His strength may be average, but his willpower is exceptionally firm, even stronger than some Tao Lords. Lin Moyu bowed to Discernment Beast. Thank you for your help, senior. Discernment Beast shook its head. No need for thanks, we each get what we want. You paid the price. Lin Moyu asked, senior, can this secret technique be taught to others? Discernment Beast grinned, baring its teeth, and after a moment replied slowly, you want to learn. Lin Moyu admitted openly, yes, I do wish to learn it. Discernment Beast said, unfortunately, you can't. Your realm isn't high enough, otherwise, I could teach you. Lin Moyu asked, what realm is required? Discernment Beast replied, best if you're at the eternal level. Of course, if your Tao heart is strong enough, and your will is firm enough, you could learn it when you're close to eternity. Being close to eternity isn't really a realm, but a concept. In fact, eternity isn't a realm either, it's a state. Realm Lord is a title, a kind of authority, not a cultivation realm. Strictly speaking, Tao Lord is the limit in terms of realm, though there are stronger and weaker Tao Lords. The weakest are projected Tao Lords, divided into branch Tao Lords and origin Tao Lords, with branch being the weakest. Above that is the true body Tao Lord, who stands out among those with the same root and source, able to enter the origin ancestral land at will and nearly fully control their own great Tao, leaving their mark. Of course, even among true body Tao Lords, there are branch and origin types. This is due to the type of great Tao they control, not their realm. Their realms are the same, the difference is only in combat power. Above that is the great Tao Lord. Great Tao Lords are also called eternal existences. They are the pinnacle of Tao Lords and of this world. They cast their great Tao into the returning origin land, with their Tao radiating to every corner of both real and virtual worlds. Wherever they are, they can use their full strength without restriction. As long as the returning origin land isn't destroyed, they cannot die. At most, they fall dormant, with a chance to recover. Once a great Tao is cast into the returning origin land, its master is fixed and cannot be replaced, hence, they are called eternal. If a Tao hasn't entered the returning origin land, the struggle between Tao lords continues. Even true body Tao lords can be replaced. Discernment beasts, close to eternity, means first becoming a true body Tao lord, then reaching the highest point and attempting to approach the returning origin land. Apart from the cultivator's Tao lord path, the few emperors in the soul void are also eternal existences. For them, becoming an emperor is proving the Tao. As long as their great spirit domain isn't destroyed, they cannot die. Even if human sovereigns scheme to seize the World Tree Emperor's position, stealing his innate origin virtual treasure and trapping him in the Beast Abyss, the World Tree Emperor still didn't die. He's still resisting, and might yet reclaim his position as emperor. This is a completely different path from that of cultivators. Discernment beast is a virtual beast. Its path is similar to an emperor's, but even more mysterious. Not an emperor, yet able to exist eternally. From Discernment Beast's words, Lin Moyu realized it doesn't know that the returning origin land can no longer accommodate new great Taos. He isn't even a Tao Lord yet, let alone close to eternity. But Lin Moyu had a doubt. His path is different from other Tao Lords. When he becomes a Tao Lord, he may not compete in the great Tao struggle. According to his plan, he'll give up 5 Taos and cultivate only the immortality great Tao. Since he's the only one with the immortality great Tao, how could there be any struggle? But it's unlikely he'd become a true body Tao Lord or even a great Tao Lord immediately. Otherwise, wouldn't he reach eternity in a single step upon becoming a Tao Lord? The world's rules are strict. Lin Moyu feels that's not possible. But these are things he can't say. He can only ponder them himself. Lin Moyu sighed, looks like I can't learn it for now. Discernment Beast said, why bother learning? Isn't this old fellow here? As long as you pay, I'll come whenever you call. As it spoke, it stared at Lin Moyu's left hand. The treasure was in Lin Moyu's left hand, unseen but still leaking its aura. Lin Moyu understood the hint. He'd prepared this treasure for Discernment Beast. He tossed it over. Here's the third piece. Even among close brothers, accounts should be settled clearly, let alone with Discernment Beast. Including this one, Lin Moyu had given it 3 pieces of innate origin treasure. By rights, Discernment Beast should help him 3 times. Discernment Beast's eyes narrowed as it caught the red treasure. This is Redstone Emperor's Crimson Redstone. Lin Moyu was surprised. You recognize it? Discernment Beast replied, of course. Crimson Redstone is Redstone Emperor's companion stone. He treasures it and rarely gives it away. Lin Moyu asked, not even to you? Discernment Beast said, you know I always trade fairly. Back then, I paid a hefty price for a piece of Crimson Redstone. It trailed off, but Lin Moyu could tell Discernment Beast had paid a lot for it in the past. Redstone Emperor was willing to give Lin Moyu a piece, asking only that he help with something next time he boards the ferrying calamity boat. Clearly, Redstone Emperor's desire for the ferrying calamity boat is beyond imagination. At least, Discernment Beast wouldn't go that far. Discernment Beast said, Redstone Emperor probably wants you to help him with something on the ferrying calamity boat, right? Lin Moyu was startled. You even guessed that? Discernment Beast sighed, that guy. The ferrying calamity boat is his obsession. But it's fine if you really get on it again, help him out. Probably only you can help him now. From its tone, Lin Moyu realized there must be some special story between Discernment Beast, Redstone Emperor, and the ferrying calamity boat. 3825. 3825. Chapter 3825, How to Buy Time. The world's origin core gradually quieted, the struggle coming to an end. The aura belonging to Xiao Zontian grew ever stronger, and Lin Moyu was completely at ease. The former war god of the great world, the human sovereign who protected humanity for countless years, was about to claim victory. In Lin Moyu's eyes, this was what he deserved, the reward he was owed after so many years. From now on, he could lay down the burdens of being human sovereign and return to being Xiao Zontian, that proud, peerless hero who had led humanity through fire and water. After becoming the master of this world, he could develop it well and perhaps even reach eternity in the future. When the world finally fell silent, Xiao Zontian's voice slowly rang out, I've won. At this moment, the passage created by Discernment Beast's secret technique had not yet disappeared. Discernment Beast said, put the great Tao Beast essence in. Lin Moyu nodded, waving his hand to send 10 orbs of great Tao Beast essence into the radiant passage. He also transmitted a message, Senior, please absorb and refine the essence as soon as possible, and strive to take form quickly. Discernment Beast let out a low growl and sent a message of its own. Lin Moyu couldn't help but ask, what did you send? Discernment Beast chuckled, I taught him some methods to help him take form sooner. Soon, Xiao Zontian's voice came, thank you for your great kindness, Senior. Discernment Beast replied, no need for such courtesy. I'm only doing this for Lin's sake. Now focus on refining and don't talk. The radiance faded, and the world's origin core released mist, slowly shrouding everything. Xiao Zontian had begun absorbing and refining the great Tao Beast essence, starting his transformation. But Lin Moyu didn't leave immediately. He wanted to watch until Xiao Zontian's condition was completely stable. Discernment Beast licked its lips and sighed, so much great Tao Beast essence, how wonderful. Lin Moyu laughed, with your ability, Senior, if you wanted it, great Tao Beast essence would be easy to get. Discernment Beast snorted, you think too much. Beings like us can't attack great Tao Beasts, or there will be trouble later. It added, not just us, even eternal beings can't do it. Lin Moyu thought for a moment, because of the great Tao Beast Emperor. Discernment Beast smiled, exactly. Some eternal beings in both the real and virtual worlds have a contract with the great Tao Beast Emperor. We're not allowed to attack great Tao Beasts ourselves. Lin Moyu asked, why do that? With the strength of great Tao Lords and Emperors, can't you defeat the great Tao Beast Emperor? Discernment Beast replied, you don't understand. You don't know the role and meaning of the great Tao Beasts. You'll understand when you reach eternity. For now, just know there's a restriction. It's very hard for us to get great Tao Beast essence, though fortunately, we don't need much only for special reasons. Lin Moyu asked, do you have enough? Should I get more for you? Discernment Beast said, of course it's not enough, but compared to great Tao Beast essence, I prefer treasure materials. Here's the deal. If you can get 10 orbs of great Tao Beast essence, you can trade them for 1 treasure material and 1 favor from me. Lin Moyu's eyes lit up. For him, getting great Tao Beast essence was much easier than treasure materials. Deal. Not giving Discernment Beast a chance to back out, Lin Moyu agreed immediately. Discernment Beast didn't mind, clearly knowing how hard it was to get an 8 origin treasure. After 2 days, the chaotic mist grew thicker, but Xiao Zontian was now stable. He had completely become world master and entered the spirit birth stage. All Tao Lords in this world were dead. No one could threaten him. With great Tao Beast essence and Discernment Beast's methods, he would take form in just a few years, with almost no risk. Lin Moyu felt as if he had completed a mission and let out a long sigh of relief. Discernment Beast said, all right, I'll take my leave. You still have 2 more chances to call on me. Wait, Lin Moyu stopped Discernment Beast. I have one more thing. Discernment Beast turned back. Speak. Lin Moyu said, in a few hundred years, the will of my world will fully awaken and may attempt to achieve eternity, sacrificing all living beings. I'm short on time, so I'd like your help to slow its progress toward eternity. Discernment Beast's eyes narrowed, and after a moment it said, let's go take a look first. 2 beams of light shot from its eyes, tearing open the void and creating a spatial passage. Discernment Beast didn't use any space great Tao, just casually tore open the soul void space. Truly extraordinary. Let's go. A force wrapped around Lin Moyu and Little Python, pulling them into the passage. In an instant, the world shifted. Lin Moyu found himself outside the origin continent, only 10 million kilometers away, able to see the entire world clearly. Discernment Beast observed the origin continent closely, its eyes shining with a supernatural light, seeing much more clearly than Lin Moyu. After a long while, it finally spoke. This guy has reached the peak of the formative stage. Although he was injured before, he's fully recovered. He's reviving, and in less than 500 years, he'll be fully awake and ready to attempt eternity. I can sense he's anxious. Last time, he waited too long. He should have achieved eternity long ago. And he's afraid someone will cause trouble during this process, so he's hidden himself. Unless something earth-shattering happens, he won't show himself. It's very hard to force him out unless an external force destroys the world. In other words, he's using all the world's living beings as meat shields, and has wrapped the world in the cause and effect great Tao. If someone really tried to do that, they'd be entangled in great karmic consequences. The cause and effect great Tao covers the whole world. If you get too involved, you'll bring a lot of unnecessary trouble. Lin Moyu frowned, so what should I do? Discernment Beast thought for a moment. There are only 2 ways. One is to attack the world directly, endure the backlash of fate, and force him out, but at least half the world's living beings would die. The second way is to act at the moment he fully awakens. When he's fully reviving, he must take form, and at that moment, with the Golden Furnace Emperor's treasure, you can prevent him from retreating and injure him again to buy more time. Lin Moyu's eyes lit up. Let's use the second method. Discernment Beast said, the second way has a problem. Eternal beings from the soul void, including emperors, can't harm the world will. At most, they can delay him, or they'll be severely punished. That's the rule, no emperor dares break it. So you'll need to find someone else to help. But even if you find a great Tao Lord, they won't help you kill a world will about to reach eternity. At most, they'll wound him. Great Tao Lords care a lot about karma and don't want to bear too much of it. Lin Moyu clenched his fist. If we can just delay and wound him, that's enough. What he needed most now was time. He had to find a way to buy more time. 3826. 3826. Chapter 3826. Master, can you not die? After Discernment Beast left, Lin Moyu lingered a while longer before turning to leave as well. He knew that in the time ahead, he would be very busy. Inviting Discernment Beast to act came at a price, and a steep one at that. He had agreed with Discernment Beast that at the moment the origin continents will revive, Discernment Beast would bring Golden Furnace Emperor and use the Emperor's innate origin virtual treasure to restrain the origin continent's world will, forcing it to solidify and preventing it from dispersing. At the same time, Lin Moyu would also need to find a great Tao Lord to strike and injure the world will, slowing its advance toward eternity. However, this would bring karmic consequences upon the great Tao Lord, so Lin Moyu would have to pay an even more astonishing price to persuade one to bear this karma. From Discernment Beast, Lin Moyu learned what great Tao Lords wanted, for example, great Tao Beast essence and innate origin treasure materials. In the Soul Void, these two items were the most valuable, hard currency. Aside from these, Lin Moyu had nothing of greater value to offer. But the problem was how to find a great Tao Lord. The most obvious great Tao Lord was Human Sovereign in the World Tree Great Spirit Domain. But thinking of what Human Sovereign was currently doing, Lin Moyu immediately ruled him out. He knew that the virtual soul pills he refined would create a degree of karmic entanglement with Human Sovereign. So it was best not to cross paths with Human Sovereign right now. His target, then, was the remaining great Tao Lords, 12 in total, 11 if Human Sovereign was excluded. Currently, he couldn't leave the origin continent, so he couldn't search in the real world and could only look in the soul void. From Discernment Beast, he learned that of the 11, only 2 or 3 were active in the soul void. Moreover, these great Tao Lords had very different personalities. Discernment Beast recommended seeking out the Lord of Time. According to Discernment Beast, the Lord of Time was relatively easier to talk to. Discernment Beast also told Lin Moyu that the Lord of Time was currently in the Twilight Drum Great Spirit Domain, one of the 9 Great Spirit Domains and also the most dangerous. As for what the Lord of Time was doing there, Discernment Beast didn't know. He wasn't omniscient. Discernment Beast warned that the Twilight Drum Great Spirit Domain was extremely dangerous, and if Lin Moyu wanted to go, he should be mentally prepared. 400 years isn't a long time, so Lin Moyu didn't hesitate. He quickly set off for the Twilight Drum Great Spirit Domain. Discernment Beast had given him a rough location. The positions of the Great Spirit Domains weren't fixed, they were always shifting, though not quickly. At least for the next few centuries, the change wouldn't be drastic. Little Python asked nervously, Master, according to Senior Discernment, Human Sovereign once entered Twilight Drum Great Spirit Domain and nearly died. If we go, can we come back alive? Lin Moyu laughed, that depends on luck. If we can't find anyone, we'll die sooner or later anyway. Better to die early than late, there's an old saying among humans, die early, reincarnate early. Little Python immediately wailed, Master, can't you think of a way to stay alive? It knew very well that if Lin Moyu died, it wouldn't survive either. Lin Moyu teased, what's there to worry about? As long as the true spirit survives, we'll reincarnate eventually. Little Python shook its big head vigorously, no, even if I reincarnate, I won't be me anymore. Stop shaking your head. Lin Moyu, sitting on Little Python's head, nearly lost his balance from the shaking. Little Python immediately settled down, Master, please try to find a way to stay alive. Lin Moyu said, that's not your concern. Just fly and make good time. Twilight Drum Great Spirit Domain was at the edge of the Soul Void, almost opposite from Golden Furnace Great Spirit Domain, requiring them to cross nearly the entire Soul Void, a long journey. Along the way, Lin Moyu was also searching for virtual real spirit realms and great Tao beasts. Time was truly tight. Little Python dared not say more and flew with all its might. After more than 10 days, Little Python left Golden Furnace Great Spirit Domain and entered a vacuum zone. At this point, Lin Moyu took out half a piece of crimson redstone, and the immortal fire blazed as he began to summon an elemental lich. Crimson redstone was Redstone Emperor's companion stone, meaning it was deeply connected to Redstone Emperor. Who knew what kind of elemental lich would be summoned with crimson redstone, or which great Tao it would replicate? Elemental liches at the great Tao level were very powerful, but unfortunately restricted by the world and couldn't be used recklessly. Otherwise, Lin Moyu's combat strength could rise several more levels. The crimson redstone rolled in the immortal fire, melting very slowly. Even after a whole day, there was little change. Lin Moyu knew he couldn't rush it, so he kept burning it, while sending out large numbers of skeleton generals in all directions to search for great Tao beasts. Little Python's eyes acted like radar, constantly scanning for virtual real spirit realms. Time and treasures, these were Lin Moyu's bargaining chips, and he needed them. Lin Moyu transformed into light, flying alone through the dazzling vacuum zone of the Great Tao. The boundless void, with its desolation, brought a sense of loneliness that even the brilliance of the Great Tao couldn't fill. For others, prolonged solitude might drive them mad, but for Lin Moyu, loneliness was the best whetstone for tempering his Tao heart. Previously, he had used solitude in the void to hone his Tao heart, making it ever stronger. Now was no different. He continued to temper his Tao heart while multitasking, feeling the splendor of the Great Tao's impact. Amid the chaotic brilliance, Lin Moyu sensed that the most fundamental truths of the Great Tao were hidden within. If someone could unravel the Great Tao, they could theoretically comprehend the Tao in the vacuum zone, though few could actually do it. After flying in the vacuum for over a month, the crimson redstone finally melted completely in the immortal fire, and a small red figure began to take shape. Lin Moyu let go, and he and Little Python quickly retreated. Once the elemental lich took shape, it would inevitably attract a great Tao tribulation. They didn't want to get caught up in it. Little Python, ever fearful for its life, withdrew tens of millions of miles away to watch from a distance. The scope of a great Tao tribulation was vast. This was why Lin Moyu never summoned elemental liches inside a small spirit domain. Who knew if there might be a small world nearby that would be devastated by the tribulation, and then all the karmic consequences would fall on him. Karma is best avoided if possible. Too much is truly troublesome. Even eternal beings avoid karma when they can. While they won't die, they may fall dormant, sleeping for countless years. If you must bear karma, it should be for a worthy gain. Needless karma is the worst. As the elemental lich formed, tribulation clouds rapidly appeared, occupying a vast area of the void. Lin Moyu watched from afar. This time the tribulation clouds seem even stronger. Little Python shivered. Yeah, it's terrifying, scarier than last time. Lin Moyu sipped his tea and muttered, worthy of being an emperor's companion treasure. With experience, Lin Moyu could roughly judge the strength of an elemental lich by the range and intensity of the tribulation clouds. Though all were great Tao level elemental liches, there were still differences in strength. But the stronger the lich, the greater the restrictions and the stricter the world's supervision. Boom! Thunder rumbled as the elemental lich soared into the tribulation clouds to face its trial. 3827. 3827. Chapter 3827, Scarlet Blood Tao Spirit. Thunder rumbled in waves. This tribulation was extremely powerful, affecting an area nearly 10 million miles across. Little Python, though already a second-tier soul void beast, still trembled in fear before the tribulation. Within the tribulation clouds, lightning crashed, 10,000 bolts striking the elemental lich, whose figure flickered in and out of view under the glare. The elemental lich solidified under the lightning, not fearing the punishment but instead using it to further condense its form. This phenomenon had occurred in previous summonings. These Tao-level elemental liches, summoned with precious materials, could easily withstand the great Tao tribulation and gain the approval of heaven and earth. What they truly feared was the punishment that followed. The difference lay in the rules of heaven and earth and in the presence of those great eyes. A rift opened in the void, and those enormous eyes appeared once more. Their cold gaze swept across the tribulation clouds, then flew tens of millions of miles to land on Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu's heart skipped a beat. The other's look was clearly unfriendly, even a bit angry, as if blaming him for coming again. Lin Moyu could only force a wry smile. This being was too strong, and he couldn't afford to provoke it. Fortunately, the gaze lingered only a moment before turning away to watch the tribulation. The thunder continued for a while, then gradually weakened. The first wave of lightning ended, followed by the second wave, heavenly punishment fire. After that would surely come the third, the annihilation wind. The heavenly punishment fire burned, and the elemental lish's body fully solidified in the flames, showing no sign of injury. Lin Moyu wasn't worried about the elemental lich. It could easily withstand this standard tribulation. After the fire and wind, the fourth tribulation, soul-corroding water, appeared out of nowhere and fell on the elemental lich. Now Lin Moyu finally saw the elemental lich's form clearly. A small scarlet body, soaking in the soul-corroding water, not only unharmed, but actually turning the water scarlet. Unlike the space Tao spirit, which would play in the soul-corroding water, this one simply sat there quietly, as if taking a bath. Soul-corroding water, which could rot the flesh and erase the soul of a Tao Lord, was now the elemental lich's bath. No one would believe it if told. Not only did the water fail to harm the little elemental lich, it was itself affected, gradually turning red. When the water was completely scarlet, the elemental lich suddenly opened its mouth and sucked it all in. Lin Moyu was amazed. It can do that. He wasn't the only one surprised. Even the great eyes watching the tribulation showed shock, clearly never having seen this before. What kind of being could swallow a great Tao tribulation? But just because it hadn't happened before didn't mean it couldn't. This was reality. Lin Moyu saw hesitation in those eyes. They clearly didn't know what to do next. Lightning, fire, wind, water. The four tribulations had passed, and the fifth did not arrive, meaning the trial was over and the elemental lich had been accepted by heaven and earth. The great eyes glanced at the elemental lich, then gave Lin Moyu a warning before slowly closing. Once again, Lin Moyu experienced a world of darkness, as if the heavens themselves had been veiled. After a while, his vision returned, and he saw the tribulation past elemental lich slowly flying over. This little guy is really something, Lin Moyu thought. He could feel the connection between himself and the elemental lich, no different from other elemental liches. But from its behavior, it seemed a bit different from the others. The little guy wasn't in a hurry, trailing a long red thread as it lazily floated to Lin Moyu. Master. Its voice was slightly deep and hoarse, its demeanor calm, not at all lively like other elemental liches, a sharp contrast to its small and cute appearance. Lin Moyu said, "Tell me your abilities." It replied, "I copied the Scarlet Blood Great Tao, and my body has some properties of chaos soil. I can pollute and devour all kinds of powers." Lin Moyu asked, "Pollute?" The elemental lich said, "Yes, almost anything can be polluted by me. That's the power of the Scarlet Blood Great Tao. After polluting, I can devour it and turn it into my own power. That's the ability brought by chaos soil. In this world, there is a Blood Great Tao, extremely rare and seldom seen, even fewer can comprehend it. The Blood Great Tao doesn't refer to the blood inside living beings, but to the blood of heaven and earth. It's said that at the dawn of the world, nameless blood fell and gave life to the world. The Blood Great Tao was born, containing the most fundamental power of heaven and earth. It can not only mobilize the world's power, but also control the blood of all beings. But because the Blood Great Tao was too heaven-defying, it was eventually split into two, the Scarlet Blood Great Tao and the Fresh Blood Great Tao. The Scarlet Blood Great Tao governs the filth of the world's blood, the waste of heaven and earth's blood. The Fresh Blood Great Tao is scattered throughout the world, helping the yin-yang origin evolve all living things. Lin Moyu hadn't expected this crimson redstone to contain the Scarlet Blood Great Tao and his Redstone Emperor's companion object, that made the Redstone Emperor's identity rather mysterious. If you think further, perhaps the other Emperor's identities are also unusual. Lin Moyu quickly realized he was overthinking. These matters weren't his concern. He decided to test the Scarlet Blood Great Tao, since seeing is believing. From now on, you'll be called Scarlet Blood Tao Spirit. Show me your abilities. He summoned the Space Tao Spirit, and at Lin Moyu's signal, the Space Tao Spirit tore open a rift in the void. Scarlet Blood Tao Spirit raised its little hand and pointed at the rift. Instantly, countless streaks of scarlet blood appeared around the rift. The scarlet blood grew thicker and darker, wrapping the space rift completely. The Space Tao Spirit cried out, "My space rift isn't under my control anymore." Then Scarlet Blood Tao Spirit opened its mouth and sucked the rift into its belly. It vanished. "Tastes pretty good, I could go for more," Scarlet Blood Dao Spirit said, licking its lips and eyeing the Space Dao Spirit as if it wanted to eat it. The Space Dao Spirit was so startled it hid behind Lin Moyu, not daring to peek out. Lin Moyu didn't react, just observed the whole process. In less than a second, Scarlet Blood Dao Spirit had polluted and devoured the Space Rift. A Space Rift contains the power of the Space Great Dao. After being polluted, it became a delicacy for Scarlet Blood Dao Spirit. Lin Moyu then summoned the True Fire Dao Spirit for another test. The True Fire Dao Spirit summoned the True Fire Great Dao, and the temperature soared, but when Scarlet Blood Dao Spirit acted, countless streaks of scarlet blood appeared. The blood ignored the power of the True Fire Great Dao, turning all the omnipresent True Fire into its own food. In a blink, the temperature returned to normal. The True Fire Dao Spirit exclaimed, "He ate all my True Fire." After 2 simple tests, Lin Moyu already knew how formidable the Scarlet Blood Dao Spirit was. This was an extremely abnormal Great Dao, able to pollute all things. Lin Moyu had another thought. Let's see if you can pollute this. He released a mass of gray-white light, his own immortality power. 3828, 3828. Chapter 3828, The Bell. The Scarlet Blood Dao Spirit pointed its finger, and a large amount of scarlet blood appeared out of nowhere around the gray-white ball of light. The ball was surrounded by the scarlet blood, but strangely, the blood could not penetrate it, unlike what had happened with the Space Rift earlier. After a few seconds, Lin Moyu noticed that not only could the scarlet blood not infiltrate or pollute the power of immortality, but his immortality power was instead corroding the scarlet blood. The Scarlet Blood Dao Spirit said in a low voice, "I can't pollute it." Not fun. Lin Moyu coaxed it like a child, "Try again." They held out a bit longer, but it became clear that the Scarlet Blood Great Dao truly could not pollute the power of immortality. This showed just how unique the Immortality Great Dao was. After all, both the Space Great Dao and the True Fire Great Dao could be polluted, which meant the Immortality Great Dao was even stronger than them. Lin Moyu was naturally pleased by the strength of the Immortality Great Dao, but the Scarlet Blood Dao Spirit was not so happy. When the test ended, the little one looked even more sullen than usual, its already serious face becoming even more twisted. Lin Moyu had it go play with the Space Dao Spirit and the others, believing it would soon cheer up. No matter how serious, it was ultimately just a newborn child with not much intelligence, and easy to appease. Little Python set off again, while Lin Moyu pondered the uses of the Scarlet Blood Dao Spirit, gradually forming some ideas. If I can make good use of the Scarlet Blood Dao Spirit, perhaps I can greatly enhance my combat strength, and without attracting Great Dao punishment. The Scarlet Blood Dao Spirit's destruction was a kind of sustained corrosion, unlike the instant massive destruction caused by the Space Dao Spirit or the True Fire Dao Spirit. As long as this degree was carefully controlled, it could effectively weaken opponents without drawing punishment. The key was to find the threshold. 3 months after leaving the Golden Furnace Great Spirit Domain, Lin Moyu found a Great Dao Beast. This Great Dao Beast became his test subject. First, the 5 Elements Giant used the Prison Wild Grand Formation to trap the beast, then the True Fire Dao Spirit attacked, and the Scarlet Blood Dao Spirit polluted the beast. At first, the power was kept weak, and the pollution was only on the surface. Seeing that no Great Dao punishment was triggered, the strength was gradually increased. Lin Moyu carefully sensed the changes in the surroundings. Before Great Dao punishment descends, there are subtle signs in the world, and with full effort, he could sense them. When the Scarlet Blood Dao Spirit's power reached 40%, Lin Moyu suddenly shouted, "Stop!" He had sensed a subtle change in the world, knowing he'd reached the limit. 40% if you don't want to trigger Great Dao punishment, keep the power under 40%. If that's true for the Scarlet Blood Dao Spirit, is it the same for the others? The Great Dao Beast used for the experiment was now half covered in scarlet pollution, looking grotesque and even a bit disgusting. Scarlet blood represents the filth of the world. Anything polluted by it, no matter the form, would evoke disgust from living beings. Lin Moyu didn't want to look at it any longer and had the Space Dao Spirit continue testing. The Dao Spirits kept their power at 40%, attacking the Great Dao Beast. Each time, there was a slight anomaly in the world, but no Great Dao punishment was triggered. Lin Moyu confirmed the safe power limit for the Dao Spirits. While much less than their full strength, it was better than not being able to use them at all. At least, it was enough to deal with Dao Lords. Heaven and Earth's Great Dao isn't entirely without loopholes. Lin Moyu thought to himself. The 5 Elements Giant killed the Great Dao Beast, collected its essence, and continued toward the Twilight Drum Great Spirit domain. Little Python flew through the vacuum for a full 10 years, crossing a vast region, its farthest journey yet. Along the way, they encountered 5 great Tao beasts and collected 5 orbs of beast essence, but unfortunately did not find a virtual real spirit realm. One day, 10 years later, Lin Moyu suddenly heard a bell. In the previously empty vacuum, a strange scene appeared. Beneath his feet was a vast grassland, with thousands of horses galloping, exotic birds soaring in the sky, and in the distance, mythical beasts appeared. There even seemed to be a divine dragon ascending to the heavens. Little Python exclaimed, "What's going on?" Having flown for 10 years, it was nearly dozing off, but the sudden vision snapped it awake. Lin Moyu said, "We must have entered a virtual real spirit realm." Little Python perked up. A virtual real spirit realm. It's been years since we entered one. Congratulations, Master, you're about to get some treasure. Lin Moyu shook his head. This time, it doesn't seem so simple. Little Python immediately became wary. If Lin Moyu said it wasn't simple, it definitely wasn't. Lin Moyu looked around. This virtual real spirit realm appeared too suddenly. Before it appeared, I think I heard a bell. How could there be a bell in the vacuum? Lin Moyu felt a vague sense of unease. Although his soul didn't send a warning, he was unsettled. Dong! Another bell sounded. Lin Moyu's expression changed dramatically as a warning came from deep in his soul. Master, danger! Space isolation! The Space Tao Spirit shouted, waving its hand to create a huge rift, isolating their space from the outside. The bell's sound turned from formless to tangible, rippling outward. All the beasts fell silent, the previously vibrant world froze, then shattered like glass. Bang! Even the isolated space created by the Space Tao Spirit broke apart, returning them to the vacuum. All around were glass shards, each containing images of various living beings, still beautiful. It was as if a world had turned into a painting, then shattered, with fragments retaining traces of its beauty. The danger wasn't over. Lin Moyu's soul still sent warnings. The Space Tao Spirit tried to isolate space again but found it couldn't. The true Fire Tao Spirit raised invisible flames to protect everyone. The Sword Tao Spirit transformed into countless swords, forming a shield around Lin Moyu and Little Python. The Scarlet Blood Tao Spirit waved its hands, raising a sea of scarlet blood to pollute the world. The little ones acted quickly, all defenses completed within a second. Bang! All the fragments exploded, a violent storm swept the void, and terrifying power surged in from all directions. Space split open with huge cracks. Lin Moyu even glimpsed the world behind the soul void, the origin ancestral land faintly visible. Of course, he could only look. He knew there was still a great distance to the origin ancestral land, impossible to cross. Going there would mean death. As their space was torn apart, even with the Tao Spirit's protection, Lin Moyu's soul was still affected, enduring constant shocks. Little Python kept howling, its body breaking apart, but it managed to hold on. The tearing force came fiercely but faded quickly, lasting only a few seconds before vanishing. Lin Moyu sent out a surge of life force to heal Little Python, while reflecting on what had just happened. What a terrifying spatial tearing force, even stronger than the Space Tao Spirit. Only a true body Tao Lord of the Space Great Tao could wield such power. The Space Great Tao hadn't entered the returning origin land. There was no Great Tao Lord, only true body Tao Lords. He realized that what they'd just experienced wasn't a virtual real spirit realm, but a pure spatial force projection. Somewhere, there must be a space like the one they'd just seen. The mysteries of the soul void still exceeded his imagination. 3829. 3829. Chapter 3829, Boiling a Frog in Warm Water. Little Python was still shaken. Master, what just happened? Lin Moyu shook his head. I'm not sure, but it should be related to the Space Great Tao. I don't know the specifics yet. Let's keep flying, but be careful. Little Python said, it's a pity. If that had been a virtual real spirit realm, Master could have gotten another treasure. Lin Moyu replied, if it were that easy to get, such treasures wouldn't be valuable. Little Python asked, are innate origin treasures only found in virtual real spirit realms? This question triggered a memory in Lin Moyu. On the ferrying Calamity boat, that giant statue was made entirely of innate origin treasure. Even the murals and carvings on either side of the steps he climbed were all made of innate origin treasure. On the ferrying Calamity boat, such materials didn't seem rare at all. What exactly is the ferrying Calamity boat? Seeing Lin Moyu fall silent, Little Python stopped asking and continued flying in the planned direction. After experiencing the bell, Little Python was even more cautious and tried to stay alert. Lin Moyu didn't speak further, just drank his tea quietly while the only sounds in the void came from the playful Tao spirits. After flying for several more days, the outline of a great spirit domain finally appeared in their view. Lin Moyu looked over and, from a great distance, saw the shape of the domain. Little Python remarked curiously, "Master, this great spirit domain has such a strange shape." Lin Moyu chuckled, "This is the Twilight Drum Great Spirit Domain." What Little Python called strange was, in fact, the shape of a large drum. A great spirit domain shaped like a giant drum, no wonder it was called Twilight Drum. As they drew closer, Lin Moyu kept watching. According to Discernment Beast, the Twilight Drum Great Spirit Domain was dangerous, but he didn't know what the danger was. The domain grew larger and closer in their view. Dong! Suddenly, a deep drumbeat sounded. Little Python's body uncontrollably retreated, moving farther and farther from the Twilight Drum Great Spirit Domain. As it retreated, Little Python's eyes went blank, falling into a daze, unaware of what it was doing. The Tao spirit's laughter also stopped. The little ones were still moving, but their actions became strange, as if being played in reverse. Lin Moyu frowned. He could sense the power of time in the drum's sound. Almost instinctively, his Time Great Tao activated, protecting his body. He immediately understood what was happening. It's time reversal. Because of the Time Great Tao, I'm unaffected. The little ones are protected by their Great Tao power, so they're less affected but still impacted. The most affected was Little Python, whose personal time was flowing backward. It would retrace its steps exactly as it had come. During time reversal, Little Python's consciousness would temporarily stop, and its memory of this period would be erased. It would have no idea what it had done, as if it never heard the drum at all. After retreating over 100 million miles, Little Python's awareness returned, and it continued forward as if nothing had happened. At that moment, they were just seeing the Twilight Drum Great Spirit Domain again. Little Python curiously repeated, "Master, this Great Spirit Domain has such a strange shape." The Tao spirits showed no surprise either, as if it were their first time experiencing this. Their memories had also been affected. Time can erase everything. For them, that period simply never existed. Lin Moyu said nothing, signaling Little Python to keep going. Little Python flew forward, once again approaching the Twilight Drum Great Spirit Domain. Lin Moyu paid close attention. When they reached the previous spot, the domain flashed. Dong! The drum sounded again, and Little Python's eyes glazed over, starting to retreat. Lin Moyu was ready this time, activating the Time Great Tao to block the temporal power. He watched Little Python's soul closely and saw a tiny flaw appear. Its memory was erased by the Time Great Tao, but the soul itself wasn't significantly harmed. The damage was minuscule, almost undetectable. But therein lay the danger. Because it couldn't be detected, they didn't know they were affected and would repeat the same action over and over, continually approaching the Twilight Drum Great Spirit Domain. Each time, they'd suffer a tiny bit of damage. Like a frog being boiled in warm water. By the time you realize it, it's too late. If lucky, your soul is merely wounded, if not, you're annihilated. Only cultivators who practice the Time Great Tao, and have at least reached the Great Tao realm, can resist the time reversal of the Twilight Drum Great Spirit Domain. So this is the Twilight Drum Great Spirit Domain, truly dangerous. After this round of retreat, Little Python's eyes cleared, and it repeated in the same tone, "Master, this Great Spirit Domain has such a strange shape." Lin Moyu said, "Stop." Little Python was confused. "Master, what's wrong?" Lin Moyu said, "There's danger ahead. I'll go alone." He drew a storage divine rune and signaled Little Python to enter. Though confused, Little Python obediently entered the rune. Lin Moyu opened his storage space and put Little Python away. "You all go in too," he told the Tao spirits. The 4 Tao spirits also obediently entered the storage space. Lin Moyu activated the Time Great Tao, enveloping himself in radiant light as he headed for the Twilight Drum Great Spirit Domain. He had comprehended the Time Great Tao, but rarely used it. He had a technique, the Wings of Time's Curse, which, when pushed to the limit, could let him roam the River of Time. Lin Moyu had seen the River of Time several times, even meeting its spirit. But he had never entered the River of Time. Once, he wanted to see past events. At that moment, a warning came from deep within his soul: entering the river of time was dangerous. He realized that roaming the river of time was not simple and should not be attempted lightly. After that, he gave up the idea and used the Time Great Tao less and less. Now, he activated the Time Great Tao and flew toward the Twilight Drum Great Spirit domain. When he reached the previous spot, the drum sounded again. The deep drumbeat, carrying the power of time, struck Lin Moyu, but his Time Great Tao blocked it, allowing him to continue. After getting closer, another drum sounded. This time, the drum was even deeper, the power even stronger, and the Time Great Tao's radiance around him was clearly distorted. Lin Moyu realized his earlier judgment was off. Being at the Great Tao realm wasn't enough, perhaps a higher realm was needed. As he got closer, the drumbeat grew more frequent and powerful. He kept activating the Time Great Tao to resist. The radiance of the Time Great Tao around him became thinner and thinner, as if it might shatter at any moment. Is it really this hard? He was already a first-tier innate soul. If even he couldn't enter, did it require a Tao Lord? Discernment Beast must have known this, and let him try because he could make it. No problem, just hold on a bit longer. Lin Moyu steeled his will, fully activating the Time Great Tao and pushing forward through the drumbeats. The drumbeats became dense and violent, pounding against him. Finally, in one especially fierce drumbeat, his Time Great Tao shattered and a pair of radiant wings sprouted from his back. The Wings of Time's Curse. 3830, 3830. Chapter 3830, The Lord of Time. At the last moment, the Wings of Time's Curse activated, and the Time Great Tao erupted, causing Lin Moyu's personal time to accelerate sharply. Space became chaotic, time was stirred up, and layers of ripples appeared on the outskirts of the Twilight Drum Great Spirit domain. Those were the marks of time. Lin Moyu shot forward like an arrow, piercing through the ripples and charging into the Twilight Drum Great Spirit domain. As he broke in, the deep drumbeat sounded again, lower than before, and the ripples of time shattered in the sound. The entire void fell into a state of time reversal, the scene of Lin Moyu charging in replayed again and again. Lin Moyu heard a sound and looked back to see himself repeatedly dashing toward the Twilight Drum Great Spirit domain. But each scene was only a fragment. None showed him succeeding. Inside and outside the Great Spirit domain was separated by a thin line. Inside, all was calm. Outside, time surged violently. Just 10 seconds later, all the scenes shattered with a bang. Lin Moyu's expression changed dramatically as his soul twisted and suffered severe injuries. Time strangulation. Lin Moyu realized what had just happened. The Time Great Tao, using the imprint of the past, had strangled his present self. He possessed this ability too, but it was ineffective against those of higher cultivation than himself. Fortunately, with the Time Great Tao protecting him, he was only injured and not in mortal danger. Life force surged, quickly repairing his soul, as Lin Moyu flew deeper into the Twilight Drum Great Spirit domain. Skeleton generals spread out in all directions. Here, time seemed to lose its effect. He couldn't sense its flow, and even his thoughts seemed to slow down. The entire Twilight Drum Great Spirit domain was suffused with the power of the Time Great Tao, making time stand still. Without the protection of the Time Great Tao, a cultivator would become lost here, their thoughts gradually halting until they were trapped forever. Only the Time Great Tao allowed Lin Moyu to move freely. Now he understood why Discernment Beast said he could survive here because of the Time Great Tao. Unknowingly, he flew for nearly 2 days. The domain was utterly silent. Lin Moyu saw no void beasts, no soul worlds, just a profound desolation. He also hadn't seen any small spirit domains. Since entering, he'd always been in the same small spirit domain. Either it was enormous, or the Twilight Drum Great Spirit domain only had one small spirit domain. He recalled noticing from a distance that the domain seemed small, and remembered that in the Redstone Great Spirit domain, small spirit domains were merging. If the Twilight Drum Great Spirit domain had also merged its small spirit domains, it would make sense for it to be smaller. Lin Moyu changed direction and flew onward. Several days passed without reaching the edge of the small spirit domain. He was now 70% sure the small spirit domains had merged into one. But the key was, there wasn't a single void beast or sign of life, just chaotic mist. To Lin Moyu, this was true emptiness. What is that? Far ahead, through the mist, Lin Moyu suddenly saw a glimmer of light. A speck of light in the darkness, dazzling. He quickly approached, and after passing through several layers of mist, he saw it clearly. A brilliant river flowed from afar, winding through the empty void. Lin Moyu had seen this river several times before, but seeing it again shocked him more than anyone. It shouldn't be here. The river of time. Why is the river of time here? Lin Moyu murmured. The river of time shouldn't be in this place. Yet it was right before his eyes, and had clearly existed for a long time, not just appeared. He flew closer and saw countless time fragments in the river, like scenes in a painting, tumbling through the current. He frowned. All the time fragments showed similar, chaotic scenes. After watching for a while, he couldn't make sense of them. He followed the river and saw more and more scenes, but they all came from the soul void. Some showed void beasts, some soul worlds. Most were just empty illusions. Lin Moyu finally understood. This was not the real river of time, but an imitation. This isn't the real river of time. Who copied the river of time, and why? All the records in this imitation are from the soul void. Could it be the Twilight Drum Great Spirit Domain's emperor? There is no emperor here now, but there must have been one before. This river must have been created by a former emperor. Lin Moyu didn't enter the river. He didn't know what would happen inside, and wouldn't risk it without certainty. He flew along the river for a long time. The closer he got, the more chaotic time became, to the point he couldn't tell how long he'd been flying. Finally, he glimpsed the end of the river. Dong! A deep drumbeat sounded again. The calm river exploded into huge waves, shaking the entire domain. The power of time swept out through the river, across the domain, and even beyond. Inside the domain, the effect was much weaker. The time reversal targeted the area outside the domain, not inside. As the drum sounded, Lin Moyu saw that at the end of the river sat a giant drum. The drum's shape was exactly like the outline of the domain he'd seen before. Twilight Drum. Lin Moyu instinctively recognized it as the innate origin treasure, Twilight Drum. The 9 great spirit domains were not formed by emperors, but by 9 innate origin treasures. These treasures were all in the hands of emperors and rarely seen. This was a rare chance to see one up close. As he drew closer, Lin Moyu was startled to see 10 figures standing beside the drum. Time Dao power swirled around one of them, making time speed up and slow down, stop and go, filled with chaos. Only the Lord of Time could do that. When Lin Moyu saw him, the Lord of Time noticed Lin Moyu too. A crisp voice called out, "Greetings, Lord of Immortality." Lin Moyu was also surprised. The voice was familiar. When he entered the returning origin land and reached the Immortality Great Dao, someone had congratulated him. This was one of those voices. Lin Moyu sped over and bowed. "Greetings, Senior." "No need for formality, Lord of Immortality. We are fellow cultivators. No need for humility. I am Shiyu, well met." The Lord of Time smiled, the Time Great Dao fading from around him, revealing his true form. He was human, appearing middle-aged, with a gentle look and a faint smile. 3831. 3831. Chapter 3831, Void Soul Essence Stone. Meeting the Lord of Time meant finding the right person. This time, Lin Moyu had come specifically to seek out the Lord of Time. Just as Discernment Beast had said, at first glance, the Lord of Time seemed approachable. His tone was sincere. He truly wished to interact as an equal. While Shiyu, the Lord of Time, could act so casually, Lin Moyu did not dare to be complacent. He bowed and said, "You are too kind, Taoist Shi. I am still searching for the Tao and need more time to return to my rightful place." Shiyu didn't mind. "It's only a matter of time. With your talent, returning to your rightful position is inevitable." Lin Moyu smiled, "Thank you for your kind words." Shiyu asked, "I assume you didn't come here by chance. Are you interested in the position of Twilight Drum Emperor?" Lin Moyu shook his head. "Not at all. I came here specifically to find you, Taoist Shi." Shiyu was surprised, his eyes flashing. "Discernment Beast told you I was here, didn't he?" Lin Moyu nodded. "That's right." Shiyu chuckled and got straight to the point. "So, what brings you here?" Lin Moyu said, "The world I was born in, its will has awakened and reached the peak of formation, and is about to attempt eternity." Shiyu stared at Lin Moyu, and Lin Moyu felt his own time changing. He knew Shiyu was examining his past. As the Lord of Time, everything related to time was under his control. Lin Moyu didn't bother resisting. He couldn't have stopped it anyway. After a moment, Shiyu's face showed a trace of puzzlement. "Strange, your time is very blurry." Lin Moyu knew he was outside of fate, but hadn't expected even his time to be so indistinct. Even the Lord of Time couldn't see it clearly. Shiyu continued, although I can't see clearly, your true spirit imprint does reside in that world. With your foundation, you're in no danger of perishing, but if you fail in this world, you'll have to remain dormant for many years. Lin Moyu picked up the thread. Exactly. That's why I've come to ask for your help. Shiyu said, you should know, we cannot destroy a world will. Otherwise, we'll face great Tao punishment, not death, but forced dormancy. The higher the cultivation, the harsher the punishment. This is how the great Tao restrains the most powerful beings, otherwise, they could destroy countless worlds at will. Lin Moyu said, there's no need to destroy the world, will just injure it and slow its progress toward eternity. Shiyu replied, even so, we would bear a heavy karmic burden. To erase that karma, a significant price must be paid. Lin Moyu understood, I understand. Please name your price, and I'll do my best to pay it. Shiyu thought for a moment. Do you know why I am here? Lin Moyu replied, I can only guess, it must be for that final step. Shiyu said, that's right. Everyone has their own final step, but in the end, it's about completing oneself, body, mind, and soul united with heaven and earth. I am the Lord of Time, mastering the Time Great Tao, but the Twilight Drum Emperor also controls the Time Great Tao. You saw the river of time here that was created by the Twilight Drum Emperor. Lin Moyu nodded, but as the Lord of Time, shouldn't you already have mastered all the mysteries of the Time Great Tao? There shouldn't be two Lords of Time. Why is there a Twilight Drum Emperor? Shiyu smiled and shook his head, it's not that simple. I became Lord of Time through my own cultivation and enlightenment. The Twilight Drum Emperor, however, wields the Time Great Tao through this innate origin treasure. His power is not weaker than mine. If we were to contest the Time Great Tao, I wouldn't be guaranteed to win. Lin Moyu was stunned. Shiyu's words overturned his understanding. He had thought that a great Tao Lord was unrivaled in their own Tao. Others might be stronger overall, but not in the Tao they mastered. But Shiyu said that, on the Time Great Tao, the Twilight Drum Emperor could match him. Shiyu sighed, that's the wonder of the world. Every great Tao has a source, and those sources condense into supreme treasures. The Twilight Drum is the source of the Time Great Tao. So the Twilight Drum Emperor doesn't need to cultivate the Time Great Tao, just this treasure is enough to rival me. Of course, he poses no threat to me. The source is just power. Mastery of the Tao is another matter. Lin Moyu understood. With this treasure, the Twilight Drum Emperor could wield the Time Great Tao's power as well as Shiyu. But he could not replace Shiyu, so there was no real conflict between them. Shiyu continued, there's no conflict between us. In fact, we often discuss the Tao together. But Soul Void Emperors are special, they are eternal, but their understanding of the Tao is not as deep as ours. He had ambition, he saw the final step and wanted to cross it. At his request, I helped him, but in the end, I harmed him. This river of time, I helped him forge it, but we didn't succeed. There was a hint of regret in Shiyu's tone. Lin Moyu could tell they had once been close. With Shiyu's help, the Twilight Drum Emperor used the time treasure to forge this river of time. Lin Moyu asked, but isn't this river of time already complete? Because Shiyu saw Lin Moyu as the Lord of Immortality, he spoke with some respect and didn't hide much. He sighed, it's not fully complete. His final step was to forge a second river of time, recording everything that happened in the Soul Void. But in the process, he had to merge himself and the Twilight Drum into the river, becoming its spirit. When the river of time was fully formed, he would transcend it, take the final step, and surpass the Emperor level. Unfortunately, he failed to become the spirit of the river of time, and so did the Twilight Drum. In the end, the Twilight Drum remained, but he fell silent. Lin Moyu asked, but aren't emperors eternal? Shouldn't he be able to return? Shiyu shook his head, emperors are different from us. Their strength reaches eternity, but they don't truly step into eternity. Without a great Tao to protect them, if they fall, it's true death, not just dormancy. Lin Moyu said, it seems the final step is truly difficult. Is there anything I can do to help? After hearing all this, Lin Moyu knew it must be related to Shiyu's request. Otherwise, why tell him all this? This was Shiyu and the Twilight Drum Emperor's story, what did it have to do with him? Shiyu said, I want a Void Soul Essence Stone. 3832, 3832. Chapter 3832, Morning Bell Great Spirit Domain. Lin Moyu had never even heard of a Void Soul Essence Stone. But he wasn't anxious, since the Lord of Time brought it up, he would surely explain where to find this so-called Void Soul Essence Stone. Sure enough, Shiyu spoke again. Before you arrived here, you should have heard a bell, right? Lin Moyu nodded in acknowledgement. Shiyu said, that was the sound of the morning bell, from the morning bell Great Spirit Domain. The morning bell and twilight drum are both supreme treasures. The morning bell corresponds to the space Great Tao, and the twilight drum corresponds to the time Great Tao. The Void Soul Essence Stone is a top-tier treasure unique to the morning bell Great Spirit Domain, and is currently in the hands of the morning bell Emperor. As long as you can help me obtain a Void Soul Essence Stone, I'll help you take on the karma. Shiyu had named his price. Lin Moyu said, a top-tier treasure, and it's in the hands of the morning bell Emperor. The answer was obvious. If it were easy to get, he would have done it himself already. Shiyu said, to obtain the Void Soul Essence Stone, you must pass the Morning Bell Emperor's trial. The Morning Bell is an innate origin treasure, representing the Space Great Tao. Only cultivators of the Space Great Tao who have reached at least third-tier innate soul can enter. I've asked several Space Tao Lords, but all have failed. Lin Moyu said, if even Space Tao Lords failed, I doubt I'll succeed. Shiyu replied, not necessarily. According to those Tao Lords, to obtain the Void Soul Essence Stone, you need space-time power. They couldn't pass the Morning Bell Emperor's trial because they lacked space-time power, not having mastered the Time Great Tao. Space-time power wasn't that just the combination of time and space. For Shiyu, that shouldn't be difficult. With a space-type treasure in his own Time Great Tao, he could easily form space-time power. Even if he had to comprehend the Space Great Tao, with his talent and endless years, he could have done it by now. Lin Moyu sensed there was more to the story. Shiyu said, I can't enter the Morning Bell Great Spirit Domain. The Morning Bell Emperor and I have some history. The Space Tao Lords I found had never comprehended the Time Great Tao. I also can't temporarily lend them my Time Great Tao. Morning Bell Emperor would sense it and bring disaster upon them. Lin Moyu asked, couldn't those Tao Lords just try to comprehend the Time Great Tao? Shiyu shook his head, we tried that. After becoming a Tao Lord, the Space Great Tao dominates, and it's very hard to form space-time power. I haven't found anyone who cultivates both the Time and Space Great Taos. Normally, before reaching the Great Tao realm, many people cultivate multiple Taos. But after reaching the Great Tao realm, due to Tao struggles, dual cultivation becomes increasingly rare. Lin Moyu was a rare exception. He now understood why Shiyu wanted him to go, because he was one of the few who cultivated both the Time and Space Great Taos and had reached first-tier innate soul. Shiyu looked at Lin Moyu. Taoist Lin, are you willing? Lin Moyu needed his help, so there was no question of willingness. He had to try. Otherwise, it would be hard to find another Great Tao Lord in a short time, and even if he did, the price might not be any lower. Lin Moyu said, all right, I'll do it. Shiyu smiled. Then I must trouble you, Taoist Lin. Don't blame me for being cautious. So long as you do your best, even if you fail, I'll still help you once. Lin Moyu's eyes brightened. Thank you, Taoist Shi. There was no oath, nor any requirement for guaranteed success. Just doing his best was enough for Shiyu to help. On the surface, the Lord of Time really was a reasonable Great Tao Lord. Lin Moyu said, then please point the way, Taoist Shi. I'll head to the Morning Bell Great Spirit Domain now. Shiyu flicked a ray of light, it will guide you. When you hear the bell, you'll have reached the Morning Bell Great Spirit Domain. But you'll have to find the entrance yourself. That's the first test. Here is a time jade. Whether you succeed or fail, you can activate it to contact me, and I'll come immediately. Lin Moyu put away the time jade. Alright, I'm off. Shiyu said, be careful, the Morning Bell Emperor isn't easy to deal with. Lin Moyu nodded. I'll be careful. I'll let you know once I have news. Following Shiyu's guidance, Lin Moyu set off for the Morning Bell Great Spirit Domain. A wisp of light flew through the void, and Lin Moyu followed closely behind. He didn't release Little Python, nor did he summon the Tao spirits. The guiding light was from the Lord of Time, and Lin Moyu didn't know if it had any other function besides showing the way. Though the Lord of Time seemed reasonable, Lin Moyu knew to be cautious. Some cards should never be shown. Even if Shiyu treated him as a peer, Lin Moyu kept his guard up. There was something about the story between the Lord of Time and the Twilight Drum Emperor that felt off. But that wasn't his concern. His only goal was to get the Void Soul Essence Stone and have the Lord of Time injure the Origin Continent's world will, buying himself enough time. Everything else was irrelevant. He left the Twilight Drum Great Spirit domain and flew through the vacuum, getting farther and farther away. As he left, the drum sounded again. But unlike before, this drumbeat was no longer deep and heavy, but clear and bright, as if seeing him off. This change in the drumbeat must be the Lord of Time's doing. It seems the reason no one can approach the Twilight Drum Great Spirit domain is also because of the Lord of Time. When human sovereign came here in the past, it must have been the Lord of Time who fought him. If the Lord of Time could injure human sovereign, his true combat power must be terrifying. As a fellow Great Tao Lord, the Lord of Time's ability to injure human sovereign spoke volumes about his strength. Lin Moyu knew he needed to be extra careful with him. The wisp of light led Lin Moyu for a long time, until he suddenly heard a bell. At the instant the bell rang, the light vanished. Clearly, the Lord of Time didn't want the Morning Bell Emperor to know of his involvement. He had already withdrawn. With the bell, a strange scene appeared. Lightning flashed in the sky, thunder roared, and torrential rain poured down. Fierce winds howled, and below, monstrous waves rose from a boundless ocean. Lin Moyu found himself above an endless sea, the rain carrying a sense of death, as if the end of the world had come. The Space Tao Spirit appeared beside him. The Space Tao Spirit waved its small hand, space isolation. In this special space created by the Morning Bell, the Space Tao Spirit carved out an independent space, isolating them from the outside. A second bell sounded, and the apocalyptic space began to crack, breaking apart. 3833, 3833. Chapter 3833, Lies. Everything in the space was frozen, the entire space riddled with cracks. The scene before Lin Moyu shattered, along with everything within the space. The independent space created by the Space Tao Spirit was less affected while cracks appeared, it did not break apart. Without this independent space, Lin Moyu felt his soul would have been damaged, even with his mastery of the Space Great Tao. For any other first-tier innate soul Great Tao cultivator, most would have been shattered along with the space. And that shattering was only the first step, next would come the explosion of space. The bell sounded again, and the broken space exploded with a roar. The origin land behind the soul void was revealed once more, and the terrifying power of the Space Great Tao swept in. This level of spatial power was enough to kill a Great Tao Lord, only a Tao Lord who cultivated the Space Great Tao could survive. The independent space isolated by the Space Tao Spirit was destroyed in the explosion, but it had already blocked most of the impact, allowing Lin Moyu to withstand it with only a minor price. During this process, Lin Moyu searched for the entrance to the Morning Bell Great Spirit Domain. The Morning Bell Great Spirit Domain was the hardest to find among the 9 great domains. It existed in different spaces, though within the Soul Void, it could not be seen or entered by ordinary means. Upon hearing the bell, one was actually within the domain's range, but to truly enter, one had to find the correct entrance at the moment the bell sounded. Relying on his Space Great Tao, Lin Moyu began searching. Before he could start, the Space Tao Spirit was already pointing, "Master, there's an entrance over there." Though Lin Moyu cultivated the Space Great Tao, he couldn't compare to this little one who had copied the entire Space Great Tao's true body. Following the little one's direction, Lin Moyu saw a tiny crack. This crack flickered in and out of existence amid the spatial shattering, and was so small it was impossible to pass through. Lin Moyu whispered, "Widen it." The Space Tao Spirit responded instantly, waving its small hand as spatial power surged forth, forcibly expanding the crack from less than half a meter to over 100 meters. The aura of the Great Spirit Domain rushed out, and Lin Moyu immediately flew in. Upon entering the Morning Bell Great Spirit Domain, he felt an incredibly dense spatial power. This power came from the Space Great Tao, filling the entire domain. The entire domain's space became thick and layered. Invisible space seemed to become tangible, and the chaotic mist was compressed into a mass. In such an environment, neither void beasts nor living beings could survive. The space was so heavy that Lin Moyu felt as if he were trapped in a swamp. Moving forward was extremely difficult. But it didn't matter, he had help. Find the source of the spatial power. Lin Moyu ordered the Space Tao Spirit. He believed the Space Tao Spirit could find the source. The root of all changes in the Morning Bell Great Spirit Domain was the Morning Bell. The Space Tao Spirit did not disappoint, quickly identifying the direction. It wielded the Space Great Tao like a sharp blade, slicing open the space ahead. Lin Moyu followed, sensing the changes in space. What did the Morning Bell Emperor do to make the domain like this? The Morning Bell Great Spirit Domain felt similar to the Twilight Drum Great Spirit Domain. Neither domain had void beasts or soul worlds, the area was like a dead zone. He wondered if this was caused by the innate origin treasures, or if it was intentional on the part of the Emperor. Discernment Beast had said emperors could not actively attack world wills. But he never said emperors couldn't attack living beings. And by using spatial transformations to destroy all the worlds within the domain, it wouldn't be considered an active attack. If that was the case, the Morning Bell Emperor was truly ruthless. But it was also possible that there simply weren't any living beings in this domain. The Space Tao spirit kept tearing open space, and as the domain was compressed, its size shrank dramatically. In just over 10 days, Lin Moyu reached the center of the domain. A giant bell connecting heaven and earth appeared before him. Seated atop the bell was a majestic figure. He radiated a terrifying aura, spatial power surging outward, merging with the Morning Bell and the domain into one. Lin Moyu sensed that he was about to fuse completely with the Morning Bell Great Spirit Domain. Space trembled, and a hollow voice echoed from all directions. "Human, why have you come to my domain?" The Morning Bell Emperor's voice carried a powerful resonance, like a bell toll, deafening and oppressive. Lin Moyu said, "Lin Moyu of the human race greets the Morning Bell Emperor. I have come for the Void Soul Essence Stone." The Morning Bell Emperor did not reply, but Lin Moyu felt countless gazes from all directions fall upon him, as if innumerable Morning Bell Emperors were staring at him. A chill ran down his spine. He realized the Morning Bell Emperor was truly about to merge with the domain. In other words, the domain was him, within it, he was invincible. Even the Lord of Time or human sovereign would have to kneel here, even if they joined forces. No one knew how far the Morning Bell Emperor had progressed on his final step. Lin Moyu knew he might leave empty-handed this time. Just surviving would be fortunate. As for the Void Soul Essence Stone, there was little hope. If the Morning Bell Emperor really wanted to attack, Lin Moyu could only call on Discernment Beast and hope for some respect. The Morning Bell Emperor's voice came from all around. "Did Shiyu send you? Don't bother hiding, I can sense his aura on you." Faced with this, Lin Moyu could only admit honestly, "I have a request for Taoist Shi, and he said if I could get the Void Soul Essence Stone, he'd help me." The Morning Bell Emperor said, "What is it? Speak clearly." Lin Moyu suddenly felt the Morning Bell Emperor was a bit gossipy. It felt strange, but Lin Moyu explained his situation. He had no choice in this situation. The Morning Bell Emperor's gaze scrutinized Lin Moyu from all sides, as if to see through him. After a moment, the voice sounded again. "Shiyu calls you a Taoist friend, so you must be the reincarnation of a great Tao Lord. Did he give you something to contact him at any time?" Lin Moyu was stunned, then took out the time jade Shiyu had given him. "Yes, this is the time jade." The time jade floated toward the Morning Bell Emperor. The Morning Bell Emperor said nothing, but for some reason, Lin Moyu faintly heard a cold laugh. Lin Moyu couldn't help but ask, "Is there a problem?" The Morning Bell Emperor said, "You possess space-time power, so by the rules, you are indeed qualified to enter the space-time spirit realm. But do you know why Shiyu gave you the Tao Jade?" Lin Moyu asked in confusion, "Isn't this the time jade?" The Morning Bell Emperor's cold laughter grew louder, as if countless versions of him were mocking Lin Moyu, the surrounding space swirling with mocking faces. Lin Moyu's heart skipped a beat. He realized the Lord of Time might have lied to him, deceiving him. 3834, 3834. Chapter 3834, Becoming a Tool. Between the Lord of Time and the Morning Bell Emperor, one of them was definitely not telling the truth. Even though Discernment Beast had said the Lord of Time was easier to deal with, Lin Moyu knew not to fully trust Discernment Beast either. After all, it wasn't the Lord of Time and could only see the surface. After all, you can know someone's face, but not their heart. Outwardly, Lin Moyu looked a bit surprised, but inside he was calm as still water. He didn't trust either of them. The Morning Bell Emperor said, "Shiyu, the Lord of Time, has always been trying to enter the space-time spirit realm, but he's never found an opportunity. He gave you the Tao Jade Heart hoping you'd carry it into the space-time spirit realm." Lin Moyu asked, "Does this Tao Jade Heart have any special use?" The Morning Bell Emperor replied, "Shiyu is the master of the Time Great Tao. The Tao Jade Heart, nurtured by the Time Great Tao, is deeply connected to him. He can use it to lock onto your position at any time and send a clone to descend. As soon as you enter the space-time spirit realm, his clone will descend." According to the Morning Bell Emperor, Shiyu had always wanted to enter the space-time spirit realm himself, but it was controlled by the Morning Bell Emperor, so he couldn't get in. So Shiyu could only use this method, letting Lin Moyu carry the Tao Jade Heart inside, then descending as a clone, which was essentially the same as entering himself. Lin Moyu asked, but why does he want to do this? The Morning Bell Emperor snorted coldly, his tone full of disdain. That man is malicious. He harms friends for his own gain and never trusts anyone. Lin Moyu said, according to you, Shiyu doesn't trust me, so he'll descend personally to get the Void Soul Essence Stone. But he should also know that I carry his aura and will surely be discovered by you. And I'm also very likely to tell you everything. The Morning Bell Emperor said, of course he knows, but so what? Even if I know you're his person, by the rules I still have to let you enter the space-time spirit realm unless I kill you. Kill you. Hearing those words, Lin Moyu felt a chill run down his spine. He knew the Morning Bell Emperor wasn't joking, he really might act. The Morning Bell Emperor sneered, if I really killed you, I'd fall into his trap. You're the reincarnation of a great Tao Lord, bearing great karma. If I kill you, I'll have to bear that karma, which does me more harm than good. So he's counting on me not to kill you. Lin Moyu said, in that case, you could just keep the Tao Jade Heart and let me go in alone. The Morning Bell Emperor replied, can't be done. When he gave you the Tao Jade Heart, it was already bound to you. The moment you enter the space-time spirit realm, the Tao Jade Heart will undergo time reversal. Its time will return to the moment you received it. If the Morning Bell Emperor was right, this wasn't a covert scheme, but an open one. He knew the Tao Jade Heart couldn't be left behind, but killing Lin Moyu would bring massive karma. But if he didn't kill him, Lin Moyu would enter the space-time spirit realm, Shiyu's clone would descend, and he'd definitely get the Void Soul Essence Stone. No wonder Shiyu had been all smiles when they met, not because he was friendly, but because he'd found the perfect tool. Still, Lin Moyu wasn't too worried. Neither Shiyu nor the Morning Bell Emperor would kill him, neither wanted to bear the karma. The conflict between the Morning Bell Emperor and Shiyu was deep. Judging by the Morning Bell Emperor's attitude, he'd love nothing more than to see Shiyu dead. Lin Moyu asked, so what does the Emperor plan to do now? The Morning Bell Emperor thought for a moment. Shiyu may have his plans, but he doesn't understand space-time power, nor does he know what's inside the space-time spirit realm. As long as I make a few arrangements, even if he enters, he'll come away empty-handed. He probably knows he's not guaranteed to succeed, so you're his backup. If his clone can't get it, it'll be up to you to obtain the Void Soul Essence Stone. Since this is his open scheme, I'll add a little twist of my own. Whatever Void Soul Essence Stone you get, I'll add something extra to it. So, Shiyu saw Lin Moyu as a tool, and now the Morning Bell Emperor did too. Neither of them were good people. And the Morning Bell Emperor was even blunt about his plan, clearly unafraid Lin Moyu would tell Shiyu. All around, countless giant faces appeared in the space, the Morning Bell Emperor's cold gaze sweeping over. Any objections? Lin Moyu certainly didn't dare object, but he had his own thoughts. Shiyu promised that if I succeeded, he'd help me deal with the world will. The Morning Bell Emperor said, that's between you and him. But I can also promise, if you help me with this, I'll help you once as well. Lin Moyu was surprised. The Emperor can strike at the world will. The Morning Bell Emperor replied, of course. We have our concerns about heavenly punishment, but it's not impossible to act as long as we keep it within limits. It's just a matter of bearing some karma. Another transaction. Lin Moyu realized he was destined to be a tool for both of them. He had no idea what the Morning Bell Emperor planned to do with the Void Soul Essence Stone, but judging from his attitude, it wouldn't be simple and would surely harm Shiyu. Who knew what kind of grudge existed between these two eternal beings? The Morning Bell Emperor clearly wanted Shiyu dead. But Lin Moyu couldn't ask, and even if he did, the Morning Bell Emperor wouldn't answer. Given the situation, Lin Moyu could only agree. The Morning Bell Emperor said in a low voice, then I'll open the space-time spirit realm. As he spoke, the Morning Bell Emperor tossed the Tao Jade Heart back to Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu sensed the Tao Jade Heart again and indeed found a wisp of Shiyu's soul hidden within. If he'd discovered this before, he wouldn't have thought much of it. After all, it was meant for contacting Shiyu. But now, it felt very different. The Morning Bell Emperor released a tremendous pressure, twisting the surrounding space. Above him, a spatial rift appeared. Threads of space-time power seeped out from the rift, which slowly widened as the Morning Bell Emperor said, it'll just take a moment. Lin Moyu wasn't in a hurry and asked, what is the Void Soul Essence Stone used for? The Morning Bell Emperor chuckled, "It's useless to me, but for Shiyu, it might be the supreme treasure he needs for his final step. A void soul essence stone can be fused into an innate origin treasure. If a soul is placed inside before fusion, that soul can refine the innate origin treasure. Shiyu wants to use the void soul essence stone to refine the Twilight Drum and become the new master of the Twilight Drum Great Spirit Domain. He's already the Lord of Time, and with the Twilight Drum's help, he might take the final step." Lin Moyu thought of human sovereign in the World Tree Great Spirit Domain. He seemed to have done something similar, though with the 3 lives secret method. Both wanted to take the final step, and both steps were connected to the Soul Void Emperors. Suddenly, Lin Moyu realized something and blurted out, "So the Drum Emperor was killed by Shiyu." 3835, 3835. Chapter 3835, Space-Time Spirit Realm. The Morning Bell Emperor did not answer, but from the sudden sharpness in his gaze, Lin Moyu already understood the answer. For the sake of his final step, the Lord of Time had done something similar to Human Sovereign but even more ruthless. Human Sovereign had only tricked the Jumu World Tree Emperor into the Beast Abyss and hadn't truly killed him. Perhaps he simply didn't have the power to do so. But the Lord of Time had truly killed the Twilight Drum Emperor. Lin Moyu had already figured it out. No wonder the Morning Bell Emperor said Shiyu, the Lord of Time, is malicious and harms his friends. It seems the Morning Bell Emperor and the Twilight Drum Emperor were close. Lin Moyu probed, "You and the Twilight Drum Emperor must have been friends, right?" The Morning Bell Emperor replied coldly, "That's none of your business. Do your job, and don't meddle in other people's affairs. After this matter, whether Shiyu helps you or not, I will definitely keep my promise." Lin Moyu didn't ask further. The grievances between these people were not something he could get involved in. For now, he just needed to do his own task. The rift in space grew larger and larger, and the entrance to the space-time spirit realm was fully revealed. At this moment, the Morning Bell Emperor tossed something into the space-time spirit realm. Lin Moyu saw it but said nothing. He knew this was a trap the Morning Bell Emperor had set for the Lord of Time. The Morning Bell Emperor said, "Go in. I hope you make it back alive." After bowing to the Morning Bell Emperor, Lin Moyu flew into the space-time spirit realm. Once he entered, the Morning Bell Emperor muttered, "Twilight Drum brother, your chance has come." Space and time shifted. As soon as he entered the space-time spirit realm, Lin Moyu felt the force of space-time. Time and space were in chaos here. Different areas existed in different times and spaces, and his soul seemed to be torn apart, entering different regions and at risk of shattering at any moment. Lin Moyu instinctively activated both the time and space great Taos, forming space-time power to envelop his soul, pulling the surrounding space-time back to the same dimension to prevent his soul from being torn apart. Here, if you only mastered one great Tao, it would be extremely dangerous. After a brief transmission, his soul officially entered the space-time spirit realm. The power of space-time grew even denser. Lin Moyu surveyed his surroundings, fully activating his space-time power. At that moment, the Tao Jade Heart in his hand suddenly emitted a glow, and Shiyu's the Lord of Time Phantom appeared. The Phantom quickly solidified into a clone. Time power flowed. As the Lord of Time, his mastery of the Time Great Tao was absolute. With the Time Great Tao alone, he could resist the changes of space-time. Using time to affect space, this ability was far beyond imagination. Lin Moyu was prepared for this, but pretended to be surprised. "Taoist Shi, what brings you here?" Shiyu smiled faintly. "The Void Soul Essence Stone is not easy to obtain. I came to act separately from you, Taoist Lin. This way, our chances of success are higher." Lin Moyu nodded slightly. Taoist Shi is thoughtful. "In that case, let's split up." Shiyu said, "If I find the Void Soul Essence Stone, I'll come find you, Taoist Lin. In the end, I'll need you to bring it out. My role is just to assist." Lin Moyu said, "All right. As long as I find the Void Soul Essence Stone, I'll definitely bring it out." Shiyu flew off in one direction, using his own method to block the space-time power of the realm, and quickly disappeared from view. Lin Moyu glanced at the Tao Jade Heart in his hand, the so-called Time Jade Shiyu had given him. It had lost its luster, and the wisp of soul inside was gone. Lin Moyu knew Shiyu would not succeed. The Morning Bell Emperor had already set a trap for him, and this soul fragment would never return. He summoned 100 skeleton generals, wrapped them in space-time power, and sent them out to scout. The first step in entering the spirit realm was still to find the correct path. At the same time, Lin Moyu sensed the aura in the space-time spirit realm, using his own methods to gather information. With multiple approaches, a wealth of information about the space-time spirit realm came to him. This place wasn't naturally formed, it's an artificial spirit realm. Time and space are intertwined. The Morning Bell and Twilight Drum were created together by the two emperors. It seems my guess was right, the Morning Bell Emperor and Twilight Drum Emperor had a special relationship, so when the Lord of Time harmed the Twilight Drum Emperor, the Morning Bell Emperor saw him as an enemy. Because time and space were interwoven, the space-time spirit realm displayed many dazzling and unique forms. Space was torn apart, and each fragment had a different time flow. Some spaces were desolate, others vibrant with life. The skeleton generals flew farther and farther, and Lin Moyu saw more and more. Suddenly, one skeleton general was shattered by the power of space-time, its fragments scattered into different times and spaces, losing contact with each other. Even an undying undead could not be revived. Is there a living being? Before the skeleton general lost contact, Lin Moyu caught a glimpse of a phantom. He immediately flew to the spot, quickly arriving to see fragments scattered across different times and spaces. Suddenly, the space ahead exploded, and an attack appeared before him as if by teleportation. Before Lin Moyu could react, the attack struck him. The space-time power surrounding him trembled, and Lin Moyu was blasted away by a tremendous force. If not for the strength of his space-time power, that blow would have been fatal. If he died here, with space-time and chaos, his soul would be torn apart, and even his innate resurrection talent might not save him. Pushing his space-time power to the limit, Lin Moyu finally saw his attacker. It was a tiny void beast, less than the size of a palm. This void beast felt unnatural to Lin Moyu, not naturally formed, but seemingly created by space-time power. It could manipulate the space-time power within the realm, and its attacks ignored space and time, striking instantly. It suddenly opened its mouth, and Lin Moyu's expression changed as another attack exploded before him. He was blasted away again, space-time power surging to block the attack. The void beast attacked relentlessly, forcing Lin Moyu to fly erratically through the realm, unable to stabilize himself. In his soul, one skeleton general after another lost contact. Lin Moyu knew they were all being destroyed by similar little void beasts. These little creatures stood motionless yet could attack across space, leaving him unable to counterattack at all. Fortunately, his space-time power was strong enough to block the attacks. But this couldn't go on. He had to deal with these creatures, or he'd never make progress. While being attacked, Lin Moyu observed carefully. These little things are formed from space-time power. Their bodies are small, so they exist within the same space-time. If I cut off this section of space-time, I should be able to harm it. With a thought, as he endured another attack, Lin Moyu shot out a thread of time power. Space-time power turned into an arrow, instantly reaching the void beast's location. Boom! Space-time power exploded, shattering the space where the little void beast stood. The once stable space-time became chaotic, and the little void beast instantly dissolved into countless points of light. 3836. 3836. Chapter 3836, Mutual Scheming. As expected, once you find the right method, they're actually easy to deal with. These little creatures born from the space-time spirit realm weren't strong, they only used the realm's space-time power to attack. The space-time spirit realm was jointly created by the Morning Bell Emperor and the Twilight Drum Emperor, so it was extremely powerful, and these creatures' attacks were impressive. But the creatures themselves were weak. They existed within a relatively stable patch of space. If you destroyed that stability, you could kill them. Lin Moyu found the method and easily dealt with the little beast. But this approach was something only he could do, the skeleton generals couldn't. In the chaotic space-time regions, any attack from the skeleton generals would be torn apart by space-time, unable to reach the target. So Lin Moyu stopped sending skeleton generals to their deaths and advanced personally. The space-time spirit realm had no fixed direction. Here, time and space overlapped and directions changed constantly. You might be flying straight ahead and suddenly be teleported somewhere else. Not only did regions shift, but even direction itself could change at any moment. After flying for a while, Lin Moyu experienced this several times. He sent out a line of fire, but it would disappear before going far, only to reappear in another region the next second. Sometimes the fire line was even cut apart, appearing in different regions, sometimes close, sometimes far. Except for when he first entered the space-time spirit realm, where there was some order, the deeper he went, the more chaotic it became. After repeatedly failing to find a direction, Lin Moyu finally stopped. With a thoughtful look, he mused, this isn't the way. To find the right path, I need to understand the root cause. The space-time spirit realm was created by two emperors, so the root must be their motivation for creating it. Emperors don't do meaningless things. At their level, the greatest and only pursuit is to take the final step. So their purpose in creating this realm must have been to take that step. But every eternal existence's final step is different. What's the point of them collaborating like this? Lin Moyu gradually found the root of the problem, thinking deeper, his gaze growing clearer. It must be about materials. When time and space intertwine and great Taos collide, some special materials might be produced. The Void Soul Essence Stone is one of them. Besides that, there might be other materials too. In that case, I should head toward the places where space-time is most chaotic. The more chaotic the space-time, the fiercer the Tao collisions, and the more likely materials will appear. Lin Moyu finally understood where to go. He didn't need a specific direction, just to move toward the most chaotic Tao areas. He could ignore random teleportations. After each one, he'd keep heading toward chaos, and he'd eventually reach his goal. Sensing the surrounding space-time chaos, he found the most chaotic direction and flew toward it. On the way, if he encountered a little void beast, he'd use space-time power to erase it. He was teleported again and again, appearing in various regions, but each time he searched for the most chaotic spot and pressed on. Gradually, he noticed the surrounding space-time was getting more and more chaotic. If the earlier chaos was a 1 out of 10, he was now moving through areas rated 10 to 20. He kept pushing toward the most chaotic 20 out of 10 regions, getting ever closer to the core of the space-time spirit realm. Morning Bell, you dare make a move here. Suddenly, space-time trembled and Lin Moyu heard a roar. The voice came from the Lord of Time. The previously calm tone was gone, replaced by agitation and anger. Lin Moyu used his will to cloak himself in space-time power and hide. The space-time spirit realm was a good place for this here. Space-time was so chaotic it was like countless broken mirrors floating around, and Lin Moyu could easily conceal himself using space-time power. Through the chaos, he saw Shiyu's figure. But the power flowing from Shiyu was not space-time, but pure, powerful time. He was still using time to cut through space, keeping himself stable in the chaos. His time power has weakened. Compared to before, Shiyu's time power was much weaker. The chaotic space-time in the realm was constantly draining his strength. Ahead of Shiyu, a phantom appeared in midair. It was the Morning Bell Emperor. The Morning Bell Emperor had also entered the space-time spirit realm and was directly attacking Shiyu's clone. It looked like Shiyu's clone had suffered a loss. Lin Moyu saw the Morning Bell Emperor holding a beautiful, multicolored stone, the Void Soul Essence Stone he needed. The Morning Bell Emperor's gaze was icy, tinged with hatred. A giant bronze bell appeared behind him, its toll shattering space-time. Shiyu's clone roared, "Morning Bell, my true self won't let you get away with this." The Morning Bell Emperor remained silent, striking the bell again and again. The clone's roars were drowned out by the bell, and soon the clone itself collapsed like a bubble. When the bell stopped, the Morning Bell Emperor looked toward Lin Moyu's hiding place. "Come out." This was the Morning Bell Emperor's domain. Lin Moyu knew he couldn't hide, so he cancelled his concealment. With a wave, the Morning Bell Emperor dispersed the chaotic space-time, opening a path for Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu flew over, puzzled. "Emperor, did you personally attack and destroy Shiyu's clone here because information can't escape this place?" The Morning Bell Emperor replied, "Exactly. Outside, the Lord of Time would know who destroyed his clone, and could even reverse time to find out. But here, his clone can't send out information, and he can't reverse time inside this place." Lin Moyu said, "But he controls the River of Time, couldn't he find out from there?" The Morning Bell Emperor replied, "The River of Time isn't all-powerful. If it were, there'd be no secrets left in the world. There are still many places the River of Time can't touch, like this space-time spirit realm." He tossed the Void Soul Essence Stone to Lin Moyu. "This is the Void Soul Essence Stone Shiyu wanted. You can take it to him." So easy. Lin Moyu felt it couldn't be that simple. The Morning Bell Emperor said, "Don't overthink it. The fact that you found the key to the realm and made it here is enough. This is a rule set by me and the Twilight Drum Emperor. If you act according to the rules, there's no problem. I did make some modifications to this Void Soul Essence Stone, but you can't tell, and neither can Shiyu. It won't affect you. When Shiyu discovers something's wrong, it'll be at least 1,000 years from now. I'll keep my promise to you. Even if Shiyu goes back on his word, I'll act. Lin Moyu asked, what if he finds out? 3837. 3837. Chapter 3837, what exactly is it? Lin Moyu didn't believe things could be as simple as the Morning Bell Emperor claimed. The Lord of Time wasn't a fool. Even if he didn't closely inspect the Void Soul Essence Stone, just the scene from earlier already seemed off. He'd dealt with Emperor remnants before, and they were extremely difficult to handle. A clone of the Lord of Time wouldn't be any weaker than an Emperor's remnant soul. Even facing the Morning Bell Emperor, it shouldn't have been so fragile. The clone of the Lord of Time just now felt to Lin Moyu like it wasn't much stronger than a great Tao Lord. In fact, Lin Moyu himself could have killed it without the Morning Bell Emperor's help. When something is out of the ordinary, there's always a reason. The Lord of Time must have anticipated this. Could he be turning the tables? Just as this thought arose, the Morning Bell Emperor's expression changed sharply. Shiyu, are you seeking death? The Morning Bell Emperor's figure also vanished like a bubble. Seeing this, Lin Moyu's heart skipped a beat. Sure enough, things weren't that simple. The Lord of Time really did have a backup plan. What's happening outside? Something must have happened outside, but he couldn't leave. Even if he could, he wouldn't go unless he was sure it was safe. After all, this was a clash between two eternal beings. For a small fry like him, getting caught up in it meant certain death. I'd better keep exploring the spirit realm. The Void Soul Essence Stone probably isn't the core product of the space-time spirit realm, or the Morning Bell Emperor wouldn't have given it up so easily. Lin Moyu continued deeper into the spirit realm. Now that he understood the path, he just needed to keep heading toward the most chaotic areas. He kept changing direction, long since lost, only knowing to keep moving toward chaos. There was no way out now. After the Morning Bell Emperor left, Lin Moyu realized he couldn't leave the space-time spirit realm at all. If something happened to the Morning Bell Emperor, he might really be trapped here forever. So before the outside world resolved itself, his best bet was to find a way out. Both the Morning Bell Emperor and the Lord of Time were schemers, each acting for their own interests. The spatial temporal chaos was nearly at its limit. Lin Moyu's soul was now in a region split into nearly 10,000 separate space-time zones. He had to use his own space-time power to pull these different regions together, which was rapidly draining his strength. If his power ran out completely, space-time would explode, splitting him into over 10,000 pieces. Each soul fragment would enter a different space-time, making resurrection nearly impossible. I should be close. In Lin Moyu's senses, the chaos had reached its peak. He should be near the core of the spirit realm. He charged into the chaos again, his whole being transmitted through the turbulent space-time. This time, the transmission lasted a long 3 seconds. When Lin Moyu regained his senses, he found that the chaotic space-time had calmed, and he was in a relatively stable space. Dazzling, piercing light shot straight into his soul. He could see it even with his eyes closed. These lights carried space-time power, drilling directly into his soul, not necessarily his present soul, but possibly his past or future soul as well. This was something Lin Moyu had never experienced before. Once he adapted, he saw what lay ahead. 2 treasure phantoms intersected here. A bell and a drum. The Morning Bell and the Twilight Drum were evolving here, the Morning Bell unleashing the Space Great Tao, the Twilight Drum beating out the Time Great Tao. Bell and drum sounds collided along the Great Taos, fusing into space-time power that spread outward, permeating the entire spirit realm. Where the Great Taos collided, a kind of eye of the storm formed a zone of calm. Lin Moyu gazed at the 2 innate origin treasure projections. He knew these were not the true Morning Bell and Twilight Drum, but their projections. However, these projections had been arranged by special means and, barring accidents, could exist for a long time. But the Twilight Drum Emperor is already gone. Why does the drum's projection still exist? And why do I sense a very unusual aura here, something I've never encountered before? It's not a great Tao, but it's no weaker than one. Lin Moyu examined the Morning Bell and Twilight Drum and found that both projections were shrouded in an unfamiliar aura. It was this aura that allowed the projections to persist. With a thought, he used his soul to draw a simple divine rune. The rune flew over, circled the 2 treasures, and returned. Now the rune was stained with that unique aura. The rune had no other use, but Lin Moyu put it away, hoping to investigate its source later. He had reached the true core of the spacetime spirit realm. What came next was the key. Lin Moyu focused all his vision on the area where the great Taos collided, never closing his eyes no matter how blinding the light. He didn't just watch with his eyes, his soul's senses were also fully concentrated on this area. All the secrets of the spacetime spirit realm should be here. After a long while, Lin Moyu finally noticed something unusual. After the two forces collided to form spacetime power, it didn't immediately disperse, it was compressed again. This compression wasn't a one-off, but happened repeatedly. The two innate origin treasures compressed the spacetime power again and again, countless times in an instant, until it could be compressed no further. Finally, the spacetime power exploded, tearing open spacetime. The tear was tiny, only the size of a pinhole, but something still shot out from it. As soon as these things entered the spacetime spirit realm, they were immediately compressed by the two treasures. They were squeezed into even smaller pieces, some remained here, others were flung away by spacetime power. Lin Moyu watched until his soul's eyes bled, his soul trembling and unstable, but he finally saw clearly. The place torn open by spacetime power, only the size of a pinhole, was exactly the same as the place the World Tree Branch and Chaos Seed had gone. It was a place filled with chaos, and what flew out of the crack was chaotic energy. Chaotic energy can evolve all things. Once it entered the spacetime spirit realm, under the influence of spacetime power, it gained spacetime attributes. Then, as it was compressed, its impurities were expelled, leaving behind the essence. Over 99% of it was impurity. These impurities gathered together to form the Void Soul Essence Stone. The remaining essence became something Lin Moyu didn't recognize. The two treasures had existed for countless ages, so the accumulation shouldn't be small, but now Lin Moyu saw only a thumb-sized piece. Apparently, the Morning Bell Emperor would sometimes come to collect the accumulated materials. Perhaps this was related to how the Morning Bell Emperor had advanced so far beyond eternity. That step beyond eternity is hard to take. Human Sovereign had struggled for years and barely made progress. Except for the owner of the ferrying Calamity boat, who had taken half a step, the Morning Bell Emperor was the furthest along Lin Moyu had seen. What exactly is this? After much deliberation, Lin Moyu braced himself and reached out to try and grasp the tiny, fingernail-sized object. 3838. 3838. Chapter 3838, all for the final step. The process was surprisingly smooth. Lin Moyu easily picked up that object. It was only the size of a fingernail, emitting a faint gray light. It looked unremarkable, but faintly exuded a primordial aura, as if it contained endless ages. As soon as Lin Moyu sensed this aura, he felt as if he had returned to some primordial era, like the very beginning of heaven and earth. He was shocked in his heart. What is this thing? This aura was terrifying, not in terms of strength, but in terms of level. Though the aura wasn't strong, its level seemed to surpass that of the great Tao. A deep voice suddenly rang out. Taoist friend, what do you think of this item? Lin Moyu looked up to see a phantom appear atop the twilight drum. He guessed the other's identity and immediately saluted. Lin Moyu of the human race greets the Twilight Drum Emperor. This was a wisp of the Twilight Drum Emperor's remnant soul. Even though it was only a remnant, Lin Moyu still maintained proper respect. The remnant soul was hazy, its true features unclear, but Lin Moyu could sense it was sizing him up, its gaze gentle. Almost instinctively, he felt the Twilight Drum Emperor was a good person. The Twilight Drum Emperor spoke softly. Taoist friend, you haven't answered me yet. Lin Moyu replied, I don't recognize this item, but I find it extremely wondrous. The Twilight Drum Emperor said, you're not telling the truth. Earlier, you clearly saw through its origins. Lin Moyu answered honestly, I did see through its origins, but I truly don't covet it. The Twilight Drum Emperor said, then tell me, where does it come from? Lin Moyu said, I once heard a senior say that at the dawn of heaven and earth there was chaos, the source of all things. If I'm not mistaken, you two emperors used spacetime power to tear open a spacetime rift and drew in chaos. His words were half true, half false. There was no senior who told him this, he had experienced it himself. Moreover, he had sensed a similar aura from the Chaos Seed, so he was nearly certain of his guess. The Twilight Drum Emperor chuckled, well said. It is indeed chaos. We drew it in, then used spacetime power to compress and refine it, ultimately obtaining two things. One is the Void Soul Essence Stone, the other is this Essence of Chaos. The Essence of Chaos helps me and the Morning Bell Emperor take the final step, so he used eternity to temper it, hoping that endless ages would yield enough essence of chaos. Lin Moyu now understood that the small object in his hand was called the essence of chaos, and it could help the two emperors take that final step. He also realized a possibility and asked, "Does the essence of chaos help the Lord of Time as well?" The Twilight Drum Emperor replied, "Not much. Every eternal existence's final step is different." Lin Moyu immediately said, "Earlier, the Morning Bell Emperor said the Lord of Time wants to use the Void Soul Essence Stone to fully control the Twilight Drum, that his final step is related to the Twilight Drum. Is that true?" The Twilight Drum Emperor sighed, "The Twilight Drum is only part of it. The final step is his greatest secret. He won't tell anyone. Even the Morning Bell Emperor and I can only guess." Which made sense. How could a great Tao Lord or eternal existence reveal their final step to anyone? If they encountered an enemy, they might be stopped. Lin Moyu said, "Earlier the Morning Bell Emperor said the Lord of Time has come, so it seems he has other schemes besides the Void Soul Essence Stone." The Twilight Drum Emperor smiled, "You're right. He's very good at scheming. That's why I fell for his Tao back then and ended up like this." As he spoke, the Twilight Drum Emperor waved his hand and space-time shifted, revealing a scene in the air. In the image, the Morning Bell Emperor and the Lord of Time were locked in fierce battle. The morning bell was struck repeatedly, space twisting and shattering, forming terrifying strangulation. The Lord of Time wielded the Time Great Tao, causing time to flow backward or freeze, turning time into invisible blades that shattered the void and struck at the Morning Bell Emperor. The two eternal beings fought so fiercely that the void was torn apart, nearly overturning the entire Great Spirit Domain. The Morning Bell Great Spirit Domain's space was crazily compressed. The Morning Bell Emperor's attacks were pure force. The Lord of Time's techniques were bizarre and hard to counter, but he could never truly do anything to the Morning Bell Emperor. Within the space-time spirit realm, Lin Moyu watched this battle, an epic clash between eternal beings. The Twilight Drum Emperor said softly, "Shiyu wants to shatter the space-time spirit realm and break my eternal aura." Lin Moyu didn't quite understand and looked at the Twilight Drum Emperor in confusion. The Twilight Drum Emperor, like a kindly old man, slowly recounted his story, helping Lin Moyu understand the entanglements between him and the Lord of Time. The Morning Bell and Twilight Drum, two innate origin treasures, correspond to space and time. Though they cannot control the Great Tao, they possess power equal to the Tao's. With these two treasures, the Morning Bell and Twilight Drum Emperors were not at all weaker than the respective Great Tao Lords. The two emperors were close friends, working together to create the space-time spirit realm and draw in chaotic energy to make the essence of chaos. Later, the Lord of Time approached the Twilight Drum Emperor under the pretense of discussing the Tao. He acted humble and courteous for 10,000 years, gaining the Twilight Drum Emperor's trust. Just when the Twilight Drum Emperor thought the Lord of Time was a true friend, the Lord of Time betrayed him. Fortunately, the Twilight Drum Emperor had split the Twilight Drum in two, leaving part of it in the space-time spirit realm, shrouded in his eternal aura, so that part of the Twilight Drum would remain forever. As long as the Twilight Drum could not be restored to wholeness, the Lord of Time could never truly obtain it. Yet his final step was tied to the Twilight Drum. So the Lord of Time had always tried to break the space-time spirit realm. But the Morning Bell Emperor had already sealed the entire Great Spirit Domain, and the Lord of Time was repelled again and again. Meanwhile, the Morning Bell Emperor used the essence of chaos produced by the space-time spirit realm to advance toward that final step. The further the Morning Bell Emperor progressed, the more anxious the Lord of Time became. The Lord of Time knew that if the Morning Bell Emperor truly took that step, he would be doomed. Even if eternal beings do not die, he would fall into endless dormancy with no hope of return. Thus, he had to stop the Morning Bell Emperor. Even if he couldn't take the step himself, he couldn't let the Morning Bell Emperor succeed. Lin Moyu finally understood his own role as a tool in all this. His purpose was to carry the Lord of Time's Tao Jade Heart into the space-time spirit realm. The Tao Jade Heart contained a clone that was obvious. The Morning Bell Emperor would certainly follow into the space-time spirit realm to stop the Lord of Time's clone. While the Morning Bell Emperor was inside, the Lord of Time could charge into the Morning Bell Great Spirit Domain. Of course, a great battle was inevitable, but this was the Morning Bell Great Spirit Domain, the Morning Bell Emperor's home turf, so the Lord of Time's chances of victory were slim. And Lin Moyu himself was just a stepping stone, used because of the rules set by the Morning Bell Emperor and the Twilight Drum Emperor. Any cultivator who mastered the power of time could enter the space-time spirit realm. As for why that rule was set, it involved secrets unknown to outsiders the Twilight Drum Emperor did not say. The Lord of Time was simply exploiting this rule to create an opportunity to enter the Morning Bell Great Spirit domain. 3839, 3839. Chapter 3839, One Arrow, Three Targets. From the Twilight Drum Emperor's account, Lin Moyu learned two pieces of knowledge that few know. First is the concept of eternal chi. Every eternal existence possesses a breath of eternal chi, which can render anything eternal. Second is about the chaotic chi they drew in. It turns out to be a kind of tiny worm living in chaos, which the Twilight Drum Emperor calls a chaos worm. The refined chaos essence is the soul of the chaos worm, while the void soul essence stone is the corpse of the chaos worm. Chaos worms are peculiar creatures without intelligence. They can merge infinitely, both in life and death. Thus, after refinement, their souls continually merge, making the chaos essence ever larger. Their corpses also keep merging, growing larger and larger. The void soul essence stone in Lin Moyu's hand is formed from the fused corpses of tens of millions of chaos worms. Upon learning that the void soul essence stone is actually the corpse of chaos worms, Lin Moyu's first thought was whether this thing could be used for corpse explosion. He wasn't sure about the vitality of chaos worms, but given their absurdly high level, their vitality couldn't be weak. Even if a single one wasn't enough, the fusion of millions of corpses should suffice. If used for corpse explosion, who knows what the effect would be? Lin Moyu asked, "It said eternal existences can't fall, so how did you get killed by the Lord of Time?" The Twilight Drum Emperor replied, "Eternal existences won't perish unless they lose the will to live, otherwise, they only enter dormancy. You cultivators are like this, and so are we emperors. The Lord of Time refined the poison Great Tao, condensing its entire essence into a single drop of ultimate poison, causing me to fall into temporary dormancy. Then he sealed me into the river of time, and with its baptism, forced me into eternal slumber within the river. On top of that, the river of time is isolated from the outside, creating the illusion of my demise. But what he didn't know is that I left a remnant soul here, protected by eternal chi, so it survived and allowed the Morning Bell Emperor to learn the truth immediately. Indeed, killing an eternal existence is nearly impossible. What the Lord of Time did was already the limit. Even so, the Twilight Drum Emperor only entered dormancy, not true death. If one day he returns from the river of time, he can still be the Twilight Drum Emperor." Outside, the great battle raged on more intense than before. The space-time spirit realm was also affected, rumbling and shaking. The Morning Bell Emperor still held the upper hand, but fully suppressing the Lord of Time would take more time. The Twilight Drum Emperor sighed. "The Morning Bell Emperor left part of his power here to help me, so he can only use about 80% of his strength, which is holding him back." Lin Moyu watched the battle outside, frowning tightly. The Lord of Time probably still has a backup plan. The Morning Bell Emperor must be careful. The Twilight Drum Emperor said nothing, but from the change in his aura, Lin Moyu sensed he was clearly nervous as well. At this moment, Lin Moyu didn't take sides or fully trust the Twilight Drum Emperor's words. He had his own judgment and knew neither side was someone he could afford to provoke. It was best not to get involved in their struggle. Just offering a warning was already the limit. In the scene, the river of time appeared, the time Great Tao poured down, and time became incomparably chaotic. The space-time spirit realm shook even more violently, as if it might collapse at any moment. The Morning Bell Emperor struck the bell forcefully, layering endless spaces to block the power of time. But the power of time was unpredictable and ever-changing. Some spaces were annihilated, and the space-time spirit realm was inevitably affected. The Morning Bell Emperor's hollow voice rang out. "Shiyu, your human Taoist friend is in the space-time spirit realm right now. Aren't you afraid of getting him killed?" The Lord of Time laughed loudly. "Taoist Lin is the reincarnation of a great Tao Lord. He can't die at worst, he'll just reincarnate again. In fact, if his luck is bad this time and his true spirit imprint is taken by the world will, maybe next time he'll return to the great Tao. And don't forget, if he dies in the space-time spirit realm, the karma falls on your head." At this moment, the Lord of Time looked completely different, his eyes full of killing intent and even a hint of madness. Lin Moyu instinctively felt this was the Lord of Time's true face. All the previous friendliness was just an act. He'd not only fooled Lin Moyu, but even Discernment Beast. Discernment Beast wasn't all-knowing, and the Lord of Time was usually very agreeable, so even it was misled. Lin Moyu sighed softly. He truly didn't want to get involved in the struggle between two eternal beings. But now, it seemed he had no choice but to get involved. The Lord of Time was already close to madness, using every means to force his way into the core of the Morning Bell Great Spirit Domain, not to deal with the Morning Bell Emperor, but to destroy the Spacetime Spirit Realm. Only by destroying the Spacetime Spirit Realm could the Twilight Drum Emperor's remnant soul lose its eternal protection, allowing the Lord of Time to truly seize the Twilight Drum. As for the Void Soul Essence Stone, it didn't seem so important after all. Lin Moyu thought of the Three Lives secret method. The Lord of Time controlled the River of Time and knew most things in the world. Perhaps he learned the Three Lives secret method from the River of Time. Even without the Void Soul Essence Stone, he could use the Three Lives secret method to refine the Twilight Drum and become the new Twilight Drum Emperor. If so, the Morning Bell Emperor's final step would be blocked. And if Lin Moyu died, the Lord of Time wouldn't have to help him, thus avoiding karma, and Lin Moyu's death would count against the Morning Bell Emperor. For the Lord of Time, this was truly a one arrow, three targets masterstroke. What a scheme, Lin Moyu couldn't help but sneer. At this point, he knew he could no longer stay uninvolved. But a struggle at the eternal level wasn't something he could participate in. The Lord of Time suddenly took out a treasure shaped like a small mountain, holding it in his palm. He tossed the treasure, and it instantly grew into a mountain 100 million miles high. The mountain hummed in the void, radiating powerful energy, and space instantly stabilized. The Morning Bell Emperor and Twilight Drum Emperor spoke in unison, a movable mountain. The Morning Bell Emperor's expression darkened, his voice icy. You actually obtained the immovable mountain. His words were met with the Lord of Time's laughter, as he activated the immovable mountain. Space grew ever more stable, making it harder for the Morning Bell Emperor to manipulate space. Lin Moyu asked, "What is the immovable mountain?" The Twilight Drum Emperor replied, "The immovable mountain is a treasure of the Space Great Tao, belonging to that true body Tao Lord. Its function is to stabilize space. Although the Lord of Time plus the immovable mountain can't kill the Morning Bell Emperor, it will put him at a disadvantage and prevent him from protecting the Spacetime Spirit Realm." The Lord of Time's goal from the start was the Spacetime Spirit Realm, not the Morning Bell Emperor. Once the Morning Bell Emperor was affected, Lin Moyu himself would be in danger. And right now, he couldn't leave. Battle shockwaves filled the outside, and stepping out would mean instant death. Lin Moyu's expression was equally grim. "Twilight Drum Senior, can you do me a favor?" The Twilight Drum Emperor asked, "What favor?" Lin Moyu split off a wisp of his soul. "Help me get this soul fragment onto the Lord of Time. Maybe I have a way to stop him." 3840, 3840. Chapter 3840, Corpse Explosion. The Twilight Drum Emperor didn't ask Lin Moyu why he wanted to do this and simply agreed, "All right." A wisp of Lin Moyu's soul was drawn away and landed on the projection clone of the Morning Bell. In the next instant, Lin Moyu felt his soul had already arrived in the outside world. The Morning Bell Emperor seemed to hear the words of the Twilight Drum Emperor and struck the Morning Bell heavily, causing the just stabilized space to shatter once more. Countless spatial rifts appeared, enveloping the Lord of Time. The descending power of time was forcibly cut off as well. But this situation couldn't last long. The Lord of Time was still laughing wildly. "It's useless, you can't trap me in the Spacetime Spirit Realm." The Morning Bell Emperor said nothing, continuing to strike the Morning Bell. Space exploded with a roar, forming spatial vortices, trying to sweep the Lord of Time away. On the other side of the spatial vortex, the Origin ancestral land appeared as a phantom. This time, the spatial eruption was so intense that even the Lord of Time found it difficult to control himself. At that moment, Lin Moyu's wisp of soul silently landed on the Lord of Time. The Twilight Drum Emperor spoke at the same time, "It's done." Lin Moyu could sense it too. He took a deep breath and focused his will. Corpse explosion. The Void Soul Essence Stone in his hand silently disintegrated. Boom! A burst of brilliant light erupted from the Lord of Time, followed by his anguished scream. A massive hole appeared in the Lord of Time's soul. His aura plummeted, weakening by an unknown magnitude. Lin Moyu was overjoyed. It worked. Using the Void Soul Essence Stone as the material, he had truly blasted the Lord of Time. The injury wasn't just to the soul. Even his physical body, wherever it was severely damaged in this explosion. It had been a long time since he'd used Corpse Explosion, but its effect was as reliable as ever. Eternal existences cannot die, only fall into dormancy, but that doesn't mean they can't be injured. This corpse explosion was enough to leave the Lord of Time with a lasting lesson. The Lord of Time didn't even know where the attack came from. Even if he searched the River of Time, he wouldn't be able to find Lin Moyu within the space-time spirit realm. This time, he would have to swallow the loss in silence. The bell rang out even more fiercely, seizing the opportunity while he was down. The morning bell Emperor struck again, kicking the Lord of Time while he was weak. Although everyone knew the Lord of Time couldn't be killed, making his injuries worse, or even forcing him into dormancy, was not impossible. The Lord of Time regained his senses and, enduring the pain, forcefully pulled the River of Time to his side. With a single step, he entered the River of Time, which then disappeared. He had fled. As he left, Lin Moyu saw fear in his eyes. It was clear that at his level, there was little in the world he didn't know. But now, after being wounded by an unknown source, that was what truly terrified him. He feared dormancy. He wouldn't dare stay here any longer. Not just the Morning Bell Great Spirit Domain, but even the Twilight Drum Great Spirit Domain, he probably wouldn't dare linger in. The Twilight Drum Emperor said, "Taoist Lin, what a brilliant move you managed to so grievously wound the Lord of Time." Lin Moyu replied, "That was my trump card, senior. Please help me keep it secret." The Twilight Drum Emperor laughed, "Rest assured, Taoist Lin, I won't say a word about what happened here, not even to Discernment Beast." A shimmer of light, and the Morning Bell Emperor arrived. Lin Moyu sensed the complexity in his gaze. He was clearly still processing what had just happened. Lin Moyu asked, "What will you two emperors do next?" The Morning Bell Emperor sighed, "I thought I could outmaneuver Shiyu this time, using him to pull the Twilight Drum brother back from the River of Time. I didn't expect to fall into Shiyu's scheme again and nearly cause disaster. Fortunately, Taoist Lin, you resolved the crisis. After this, Shiyu will definitely go off to heal. He'll return to the real world and won't come back to the Twilight Drum Great Spirit Domain for a while." Lin Moyu nodded. Judging from the Lord of Time's expression just now, this was highly likely. The Morning Bell Emperor continued, "I have an idea, but I don't know if it's feasible." Lin Moyu said, "Please speak, Emperor." The Twilight Drum Emperor added, "Say whatever's on your mind. Taoist Lin is easy to talk to, unlike Shiyu." The Morning Bell Emperor said, "Taoist Lin, you also understand the Time Great Tao, so you should be able to summon the River of Time. While Shiyu is away healing, I'd like you to enter the River of Time and find where the Twilight Drum brother is sealed." Lin Moyu's expression changed, a wry smile on his face. "Emperor, you give me too much credit. I'm just a first-tier innate soul at the Great Tao realm. Entering the River of Time isn't a problem, but finding where the Twilight Drum Emperor is sealed would be suicide." It was easy to imagine that the place sealing the Twilight Drum Emperor would be under the Lord of Time's watch. If Lin Moyu went there, he'd be swatted to death. The Morning Bell Emperor looked to the Twilight Drum Emperor. "Twilight Drum brother, do you think this is possible?" In terms of understanding the River of Time, aside from the Lord of Time himself, the Twilight Drum Emperor was the expert. The Twilight Drum Emperor thought for a moment. "It is dangerous but not impossible. Most of the River of Time records the events of past and present. Only a tiny part is used to seal my main soul. Back when I debated the Tao with the Lord of Time, we used the Twilight Drum to evolve a branch of the River of Time. If Taoist Lin is willing, he can use this branch to conceal himself. Even if Shiyu weren't injured, as long as he isn't watching the River of Time, it would be hard for him to sense you." Lin Moyu felt the Twilight Drum Emperor was trying to reassure him, hinting that he wanted Lin Moyu to go. It was understandable. Retrieving the main soul was like resurrection, and no matter how calm the Twilight Drum Emperor appeared, he couldn't resist the temptation. But he didn't say it outright, perhaps not to pressure Lin Moyu. The Morning Bell Emperor was more direct. "Taoist Lin, will you go? We'll do our best to keep you safe. I'll lend you the Morning Bell's projection if you're in danger. You can use it to escape the River of Time." Lin Moyu thought for a moment. "This is too dangerous for me. I really don't want to go." As he spoke, both emperors showed clear disappointment. Lin Moyu continued, "If you really want me to go, I have a few small requests I hope you'll agree to." The Morning Bell Emperor said, "Name them." Lin Moyu said, "I want 3 Void Soul Essence Stones, each at least as big as the last one, and I want this Essence of Chaos as well." Without hesitation, the Morning Bell Emperor agreed, "No problem." He immediately produced 3 Void Soul Essence Stones, each larger than the previous one. Lin Moyu knew he must have accumulated them over the years. Sure enough, he had. He wasn't greedy, 3 were enough. Lin Moyu said, and my third request is actually the one I mentioned before about the will of my world. Now that Shiyu can't act, I hope you two emperors will help. The Morning Bell Emperor said, I already promised that I will definitely act when the time comes.